You didn't turn it up, did you?
Really, is everyone
Killing me.
cold?
It's nice in here.
It's so cold. Okay.
I'm cold too, but I'm not staying long. Good go.
Thank you, Alicia. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, 15 April 2026, and this is a regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. I am Rich Reed, the chair, and with me here today is Vice Chair Wendy Rathgeber and Select Board Member Dan Bancroft. Let's move on to, we have a quorum, let's move on to privilege of the floor. Craig, I think you asked for a privilege of the floor. Let me just say, I noticed from the email you sent, you wanted to talk about the sewer line on Snows Mountain Road as one of your.
That's a big thing, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to
But there's some
recuse
small
myself.
things.
Okay, well, I'm going to just turn it over to Wendy and recuse myself
That's fine.
because of that
You can go home,
topic.
yeah.
So
You
Wendy.
can go home if you want.
You don't take that long.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Obviously, I have not talked to all the neighbors. I talked to a few. And obviously, the few that I've talked to are very disappointed. We're, it's, and then from my own stake is that, I feel that you were out to kill the deal no matter what, just by splitting it up. I mean, that's an easy deal. That's an easy way of doing it. No, let me talk.
Okay.
And that's how I feel, and you're not gonna change that part until you include it on the whole thing. My understanding is you're not doing it this year anyway, I guess. So, maybe we can do something else. Basically, we're don't want to pay for any of it, if that's how you're gonna handle it. I don't know if you had a plan ahead of time or not. Certainly didn't share it with us. But I don't want to pay for, we don't want to pay for the actual construction of the plant, the cost of the borrowing of the money, anything. If that's unfortunately, I look at this as a very small town. Obviously, I was in favor of it, and I'm not being selfish about it. I just thought it was a small town with 35 other owners that were never included originally. It would be nice if we were all in the same category and all in the same boat. And I think I'm going to blame you guys for messing that up a little bit. And I'm just sorry because you just divided everybody. I'm just going to say what I have to say is privilege of the floor.
Okay.
And I'm not looking for any response. It's been going on for 6 years. This is not something that just came up this winter. You've had 6 years to figure this out, and you've done everything you physically can do to say no. And that's my thought.
I understand, and I just need to circle back to your first point.
No,
I want to clarify, just for the record, one of the reasons we separated out was to try to make sure it went through for Snows Brook. Snows Mountain, sorry, Snows Mountain.
no, you could easily put it all in one big bond and done it all at once. That's how you do it. You package it all into one package, and that's how you sell it.
Well,
You sold it separately, and it was too easy to divide it up and say no. And on fact of that, there was a few selfish people that spoke up saying that they're not going to live long enough to see the whole thing. And that was their prerogative, I guess. But that's, to me, is selfish. I'm paying sewer on 2 other properties and one without. There are 35 houses up there. We got half-acre zoning. I have 3 acres.
okay.
I can divide up into like 4 lots if I wanted to.
Well, if you're-
I think there's close to 60 different residents eventually up there, not the 35 that you have there today.
All right, if you're.
That's aside. Anyway, my point is,
Heard.
we're either gonna hire an attorney to fight it, and we just, I think you need to set up a sewer district and leave us out of that sewer district.
Okay.
And I'm not doing the rent thing either, because the rent thing can be changed at any given time by the selectmen, whereas a sewer district cannot be changed except by voters.
Okay, we are still in.
I'm just telling you,
I would like to be able to respond to you.
no, it's
Okay.
our property.
Well, in that case, your 5 minutes has elapsed. Is there anything you want to talk about in a different topic?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, for the last 5 years, I've been talking about the water line on Boulder Path.
Mhm.
Up until August, it was included in the deal. as far as putting the water line in. I think your own bylaws, your own regulations call for it to be in the road layout. And I don't know why you can't put that water line in the road layout.
No, you're referring to that which has an we
On
have an
Boulder
easement,
Path.
and that exists in an easement on your property.
It's just an
recreation
easement, it's not a
property.
maintenance easement. You've got to read it correctly. And there's no maintenance easements on. Matter of fact, we tried shutting it off. We were doing some work on our water lines. We could not shut that water off. That valve is not working out there. The thing is 60 years old. I'm just saying, I'm not asking you to take it out of there. I'm not asking you to do anything with it. I think that it would be prudent as a taxpayer and as a property owner that owns that water line, that we get us a new water line in there. You can just leave it in the ground, and when the other one fails, hook it up, I guess.
I understand that, but you understand the cost was $500,000.
It's gonna cost a hell of a lot more to do it 5 years. The other thing that's going on in this town here, no different from the the easement that the $85 for the Golden Eagle, that was supposed to be fixed. My understanding is that's not even fixed yet.
I'm not sure what you're talking about there.
The easement, that we haven't concluded an agreement with the
Oh,
easement.
for the.
Yeah, I was told at the budget hearing that you were gonna do it.
Yes, we were, and unfortunately, Mark died, and a lot of things went sideways, and that's still on our.
Yeah, I know. You
this year.
spend 4 hours doing dump sticker colors. I can understand how busy you are.
Okay.
All right,
Do you
so-
have anything else to wrap up? What you
Yes,
have?
I want that water line in on Boulder Path. I think you're farsighted on it. You're crazy about not putting it in there in the ground. Your own bylaws that you have written up here
I think
say,
you're-
specifically say in the road layout. It doesn't say down the 8th fairway.
Okay, your opinion's been heard on that. You.
It's
purchased the
more of my
property.
opinion. It's
You
on my
purchased-
property.
You purchased the property with it there.
Yes, with the
And-
understanding that at some point, a lot of these problems that Tom Cochran has set up, or Waterville
hear
Company
you
has
there.
set. So it's our job today, as these problems arise, and they seem to rise every year, a new one comes every year. Why aren't we fixing some of these?
I hear you.
Why are we kicking it down the can down the road?
Okay.
So as far as I can see, you haven't fixed any of the Waterville Company problems.
We are working towards that. Is there?
Is
anything else you
there a
wanted to add?
timeline on this stuff, or is it like
For the water mains?
everything?
Everything, we are working on everything as we speak.
So the Golden Eagle thing you're gonna work on,
That is on. the
and you're
list
gonna
of
work
items.
on the getting water lines in Boulder Path?
I believe we have decided to pass on.
So
that because
you
of the
can-
Expense to the town.
I mean,
Now,
your biggest complaint to me is that I operate without getting permits and I just do whatever I want, right? Well, you're doing that. Yes, you are. Your own your own things say it has to be in the road layout.
So 10 minutes. Anything else that you wanted to add, Craig?
I'm just, we're gonna get attorneys. That's what I'm getting at. And the $7 million budget was really a vote of no confidence. And I have like zero confidence in this board because I don't see how we're ever getting anything finished here.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Well, all you have to do is a couple of small things,
Well,
all right?
thank you for coming today. Can I take back over? Are you
Yes.
back?
I am,
You're
I guess
back.
so.
Okay.
All right, so is there anybody else for privilege of the floor? Yes, please come up to the microphone, announce yourself.
Hi, Steve Quimby, 23 Black Bear Road. Coming before you on the issue of dumpster enclosures. And I guess there's a lot there, it's still up in the air as to whether dumpsters are going to be removed from the condominiums and other commercial properties. At the same time, we have a July 31st deadline, I believe, to complete the enclosures around dumpsters. I would just ask that deadline be suspended until we know for sure whether or not we're going to continue to have the dumpsters there available for our use. It doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have to pay. I mean, it's not huge money, but $3,000-4,000 to build an enclosure around dumpsters if we're going to end up with a plan that's not going to have dumpsters. So we would just ask that you take that into consideration.
I was actually going to bring that point up
Okay.
later today.
Yeah,
too.
well, we have an MSW update later on, but thank you, Steve. Okay, anybody else for privilege of the floor? All right, let's move on to department head update. Oh, you have something?
Since Donna's here, should you
Oh, I'm sorry.
just snuck
Well,
in?
we have
Oh,
her
we have
on
her
the
on, we have
agenda.
her. You want to
Okay.
move her up?
Well,
We
I
can,
mean.
we can move it up.
Because then we know Brooke would be here to help with that discussion.
Good point. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Donna, I believe the request is, we saw your email. We haven't forgotten you. We just
Oh,
we're
you
gonna
guys
put it
have
on
been,
an agenda after we got done with all the budget stuff we had to
you've
talk
been
about.
busy. I
So,
understand.
Go ahead, why don't you just for the record, so people can hear, it was a very short synopsis of what your group is asking for this year.
As I said when I was here a little over a month ago, I'm from Theater Under the Stars. We are hoping to be able to do our 21st season of free and low-cost programming for kids and families here in Waterville Valley. I sent a proposal as requested. I believe the dates we asked for to be able to use the outdoor space at Packard's Field and the indoor space at the hockey rink, exactly what we did last year, from roughly July 15th to August 15th. Did you all get that proposal that was emailed? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh.
I just sent it to them and yeah, so July 15th to August 15th, roughly. And then the build would be, we don't need as much of a build time. Last year, we were really trying to reinvent the wheel and figuring out how we were going to use those two new spaces. So we had a longer build period because we were just trying to figure out what we're going to do. But this year it should be much shorter. So we'd probably need about a 2-week lead up to that.
Are you talking about starting July 4th?
No, oh no, it was, as it says in my proposal, I think it's the last week in June, kind of. I think that's what it said in the proposal. So if we're starting on July 15th, but yeah, I mean, we didn't build during July 4th last year either, so
Late June.
yeah, and we would take a break during July 4th, so.
All righty.
But it shouldn't be as much of a,
Is it
Oh, no,
the
it's-
same exact
same exact.
layout you had last?
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, from everything that we heard last year, and again, we did a walkthrough with Mark Dakota, as we always did. We do a debrief with Mark afterwards. Obviously, then he passed away shortly after that. But in between him passing away and us ending, we did what we always do. We do a walkthrough with him on the last day. And then about a week or so later, when the dust is settled, we do a little bit of a debrief. So, yeah, I mean, we're looking to do exactly what we did last year. I've already spoken with Tucker at the hockey rink. He told me, yes, Mark had reached out to him at the end of our last season just to see from Tucker's end, did everything go okay in the hockey rink? It went okay on our end, certainly. And the feedback he got from Tucker, because now I've spoken with Tucker, was, yeah, it was great having you guys in here. We like being able to do something for the community. And we weren't in their way at all because they really don't have anything going on there. So Tucker, I know, obviously you guys are the arbiters and the bosses of all of it in the town, but again, in the absence of Mark, who had sort of started all this stuff rolling, as he always does at the end of our season, we start talking about what's going to happen for next season. Obviously that's gotten a little ceased, but at least on the hockey rink end of things, they are perfectly happy and willing to have us back again. We were good guests.
Okay, thank you.
Donna,
Yes, sir.
one of the issues we have this year, of course, is we have less money
Yes.
in town and it takes labor and such for townspeople to haul your stuff over there, so which is stored, you have that stored somewhere, right, Megan?
It's stored up in the lagoons, so historically. It was stored up in the DPW area, and before doors were locked, it was kind of a free willing to go in there. Then when doors were locked, Mark would come unlock the doors for the Theater of the Stars, and it was moved to the building that's up there. In the lagoon area, and all the stage stuff is also now stored up in the lagoon area. And Mark used to give or come up here, with a key to the Theater of the Stars to retrieve their stuff. The smaller stuff that they could.
Now, are we doing the labor or are they doing the labor?
Historically, it's.
We did the labor.
varies.
Yeah, we did the labor. 75% of it was done. Sometimes we had very large things that
Just a second.
got
Can you let her
moved.
Finish, please.
Sure, sorry. Thought we were
So,
having
DPW
conversation, sorry.
all of the staging and everything over there. And then sometimes assist with putting up the tent or
Yep.
enforcing the tent, yada, yada.
Can you arrange for that?
Am I talking now? Is this to me? Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Can you arrange for that to all happen from your?
We'll do our best. Some of those pieces now got moved way up in the back there with the intention, obviously, that they were going to be hauled again,
It's a
so.
truck Or something to move stuff
Well,
over.
I mean, we would do our best to do that. That would certainly be something, didn't know until right now, that was something we would have to do, so I guess so,
Yeah.
sure.
The other thing would be do it during the week and not, I can't just, it's not my lagoon area, it's Dylan's, can't just give you a key, no one can just have access up there.
Yep. Just
That seems
to be clear,
straightforward.
if I may talk, we never were given a key when there was a key. The only time I've been up there, again, this is a Will Hammond thing. This is not a Donna Devlin thing. But the one time that we knew it was locked was last summer, before the summer. So last May or June, when now there were those gates and stuff. And Mark never gave us a key for, as far as I know, he came and opened the door with us. And just so you guys know, we didn't have a key. Just if that's an important thing, we didn't have a key.
Yeah, I don't care about, I just care
Okay.
that it's
Okay.
not an appropriate task for DPW to be doing that.
Okay.
We don't have the, especially in this year, we're tight on money in a lot of places,
Well, and short a staff person.
And
I think
short of
is probably the
staff.
Biggest.
Okay.
so.
New information for me. And again, it was always just offered to us. We never asked
Sure.
for it. So it was very kindly offered to us. And we've been very grateful for it.
Normal circumstances, I would say absolutely, but
Yeah. Okay.
things are tight.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Brooke, did you want to comment since, and I apologize, I had thought you were on it. It came, I guess, just to the select board members, but you should have seen her, Donna's email earlier, so I had a time to think about it.
From what I'm hearing, is the setup dates would be the last week of June, right? Weekend, usually, do you do the weekend? Or
Well,
regular?
we have to do it when and we have volunteers to help us. So it's usually in the evenings after work and then on the weekends. Yeah.
But that may not work this time, right?
Well, it doesn't work. We get all the stuff in one fell swoop. So that can be coordinated. If it has to be during the week, we can figure that out. Again, all this is new information that I'm standing on my feet trying to so we can work it all out. I'm happy to have this new information though.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is that we did not put the money into the field this year because of the damage that came of last year.
Yep.
And then that would probably happen again. So not that that's something that would stop us from doing that, but just to remind the board that that was part of, that what came of them being on the space for that.
What's it look like now? Now that the snow's gone?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't gone over to take a close look at it.
Okay.
I'm not sure
Yeah, neither have I.
you've taken a close look at it.
I did.
Sort of, so a portion of it has grown back
Yep.
slightly, and then another portion is grayed out.
Yeah, so it probably, I mean, just won't have time to repair, which, this is not like a deal breaker. I'm just bringing up the.
No, we had
I'm just bringing
decided
up this
to
as
wait
a
to the spring
reminder.
to fix it if we were going to fix it,
Again, we may as well not
not
fix it.
not
because
fix it.
it's gonna
Right,
come
why
back
spend the
same
money?
place.
Right.
If I may speak to that end to help, obviously now I was not aware of this issue until just before the last meeting where I was at. So, but we've had time to sort of look at it. So again, just to reiterate, and then I will talk about the new things that have happened. When we did the walkthrough with Mark last year, and it was apparent that there was dead grass where the tent had been, we asked if this was going to be a big deal. Do we need to come and help resod it, put grass seed down, et cetera, et cetera. And Mark said, this should not be a big deal at all. It will probably grow back. It's not in the center of the field. It's not, he's like, he did not think it was going to be a big deal. So, and he said, we'll deal with it in the spring. But again, we would have been more attentive to it on the backside if we hadn't had that conversation with him. So once I became aware in the last meeting, it was brought up. I just want to say a couple of things. It was a record drought last year. We also, in 2021, you guys had a tent up because that's where you were meeting, was on Packard's Field. And the reason your grass didn't die underneath your tent, Will and I talked about this, is because we have sides completely up. So no sunlight got in there. And it was a record drought. We had no rain, which was actually great for running an outdoor theater, but bad for the grass. So we had no runoff from the tent to like help nourish it. You guys did not have the same problem when you had your tent up in like the summer of 2021, right? You didn't have it all die underneath, right? So Will said the difference is the drought, which obviously we cannot control.
So what do you propose?
We can control during the day, not having our sides up so that the sunlight can get in enough to at least mitigate the damage that it might do. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's something that we should consider going forward.
right.
That's it.
And we're considering that too. I want to, we're the other member of this, so I just want to let you know we are being receptive to that. And the other thing we can do is we don't have to, we put the tent up super early last year because again, it was a brand new space and you were out there with me trying to juggle like where we were going to do everything and where the tent was going to go. And then everything came off the tent, the stage and the fencing. We can put the tent up much later this year. So instead of it being up for like, well, it was probably 7 weeks last year, it can be up for like a little more than 4. We can kind of put it up towards the very end. That will also probably mitigate the damage. So we have given thought to this, how we can address this as
You
well.
have something, Wendy?
Megan.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Consideration moving forward would be the storage of the stuff not being, I don't want to say on town land, but on town land.
Yeah. Yeah. We had already, once Mark passed away, we were like, well, this is the last year we're going to have our stuff up there. So we'll put it someplace else at the end of the summer. That one we had already figured out. But we, again, really appreciate all the years that you guys have stored at least some portion of our larger pieces, especially. Thank you.
Okay. So when do you need a decision from us?
ASAP. I've got to hire actors next week, really soon. We got a little delay because of the budget stuff. So you guys had told me a month ago, make sure you don't wait too long, Donna. And I have done what I needed to do, but I'm going to New York City on Monday night and hiring actors the end of the week. So I've already got, I only have so much time that I can then like give them what their line, like to learn their lines and stuff. So ASAP.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Any thoughts about
No, I mean, I think.
accepting the request?
Yeah, I understand that there's an impact on the field, but I do feel like it brings a lot of vibrancy, especially as you're coming around the corner and you see the tent and activity there. Seemed to be a good spot. I attended a couple of the shows and it was a really nice layout, so I'd be in support of it.
Yeah, I'm in support of it. I just, with all the caveats that we have and just so we're all on the same page, a lot of the discussion centers on, we have to talk about these things.
Mhm.
Last year it was a little bit late
Yeah.
before we found out,
Mhm.
and trying to come up with a scramble for a plan. So that was a hassle. So I appreciate you coming sooner and that's fine. I'm
Good with it.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Just one more question. Looking ahead in your crystal ball, what do you see for the future?
Listen, so much stuff has happened this year. I got to say, we are still knocked on the back of our heels with the loss of Mark Dakota. So I'm just very grateful for us. I mean, our plan is always to come back. We're always surprised when people are like, oh, you're back. I'm like, yeah, of course we're.
Mhm.
For 18 years, I've been hearing, oh, you're back. It's like, yes, of course we're back. So we fully plan on coming back.
Okay.
It's whether or not we continue to have spaces. And I will say it's a lot of wear and tear on us every year. Like last year was different because we had been in the space behind the hockey rink for I think 10 or 12
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
We had a really good run. But prior to that,
I
as some
cleared all the trees for you.
We love the trees. The trees were awesome. They gave us shade. It's very hot up there on the stage at 2 PM in a heat wave. But I will just say that for some people that have been around since the earlier days of the theater, we basically went 1 to 3 years and then we got moved someplace else. I think we've been in 4 or 5 different sites. So it is always our intention to come back. It just feels like the available land less and less and less and
Yeah,
less.
that's-
So, so
Good.
thank you for it. I appreciate it.
All right, so no, I think in light of, I agree with both of you, in light of some of the other activities that were town funded that we had to not fund this year, I
Yeah.
mean, at least we can keep this. So, yeah, go ahead and contact your actors in New York City. And, yeah, I mean, I agree with Dan. I mean, we have some caveats here. I think we want to work with it, and you can work with Megan, you can work with Brooke.
Yes.
Heard the caveats to both of you, so I think that's fine. Do you actually need the fence? That was the other question I wanted to ask, the long fence, you had it from the.
We
tent,
need all that fencing
all
up.
that fencing along the side.
It helps keep it, number one, we did have some issues, very minor, but like soccer balls going errant into our space, like for safety's sake, we have
Okay.
kids running around and stuff. Also, just, it helps keep the noise contained, like your voice isn't just going out, like, cause we don't, anyway, so, but for safety reasons,
So they
for
practice
my
that.
actors and the
Okay.
kids that come, we need
Good
the
enough.
fence.
All right,
So,
thank you, Donna.
thank you, everyone. Anyone who's come to our theater knows I'm gonna end with a huzzah! So thank you.
Good.
Donna, just before you step off, Dave, real quick,
Oh, I huzzahed too soon.
was with the changes that, and I'm sorry, I haven't read through the whole special event use permit that we had revamped a little bit this year. Is there any component to Donna's event that would require such
I don't believe so,
application?
because it doesn't affect any public ways or anything like that.
Okay,
There already is a porta potty that's over there. so-
There it
I know it's gone.
No, there's,
No
no.
porta
That,
potty.
that was a casualty too.
Oh, well, that's a bummer.
You know, I possibly, if it's a entertainment venue, I'd encourage at least having a porta potty over there.
Hmm.
We won't be able to afford them. We gave up on porta potties because people came and used them and knocked them over and vandalized them. That's why we stopped using porta potties at our old site. It just, you can't police it, and it was just
Right.
a nightmare.
I
So,
think that in the days that you were having porta potties there, they weren't being serviced weekly. And the ones that we have been contracting with for the last several years, they come out and service it.
yeah.
once or twice a week.
We also will not have that money this year to get
Like 4
a porta
weeks.
potty.
I think, do you remember that, Steve?
if I recall correctly, there was $750 per month,
Yeah.
so $750
$750.
for a month, yep.
Yeah,
And
maybe we can
did
scrape
take
up $750 somewhere.
those- Did take, those out, but
Right.
it is, because there were 2, so it is, we could try to see how we could bring together the funds to
Yeah,
have it.
well, we'll definitely have to have at least one porta potty there because there is nothing. And now that the trees are gone too, so there is nothing.
That's really nothing.
That was really nothing.
Wait, there are trees down around Packard's Field too?
Oh, no, I meant,
Okay.
yeah.
I gotcha.
So, all right, we'll have to deal with the porta potty, but I think we should have at least one. And if
Yeah.
we're looking at something in that price range, we'll see if
Yeah,
we can come up with it, unless there's a donor of who'd be willing to have, we put the name on the porta potty if they'd like. for-
Actually, they used to do that. We actually used to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, my question is, I'm guessing the $2,500 that the town has given me went by the wayside. Is that
Yes,
correct?
That got cut.
So with that, you guys were our single biggest donor. We only raise money on the backs of like $25, $50, et cetera, et
All
cetera.
right,
Our second biggest donor was Waterville Valley Resort Association, and we know what's happened there. So I'm down about $5,000 of funding that we really usually count on. I do not have any extra money.
okay.
Not yet, because I didn't know if there was anything to reach out about yet. So I will definitely do that now that it looks like I've got a yes. Do we have a yes, definitely?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
no, we're gonna resolve the
Yeah.
porta potty issue one way or the other.
Okay. Thank you.
You are
Thank you, Don.
welcome. All right, let's go back to department head updates. Brooke, why don't you start us off
Sure.
today, please?
Okay, bye, Donna. Our new session of after school started on March 30th. We have 15 children enrolled in our after school program. 4 of them are preschoolers. So we had a few that did not re-sign up for that. We did have a really great speaker series on Friday. The Pemmy Valley Search and Rescue came. That was a successful speaker series for us. We have a couple of upcoming band trips. One to the Flying Monkey on Friday night for the Adam Ezra group, and then next Thursday at the Holderness Spring Musical. Our pickleball participation is sort of winding down as it usually does this time of year. I mean, we still have people, on big rainy days, but it is getting smaller and smaller just due to the fact that people like to play outside. So people are moving outside to play, and that usually tends to be the Holderness area, Plymouth area. We do get some use out in our, on the school courts, but it's not organized in any way, so we just get private groups coming. The cleanup is scheduled for May 8th at 11 a.m. That's our community cleanup. That's a Friday. And we will be handing out roots for that. And there will also be a gift given and some food had at the Ray Center. We're going to have it in the community garden, the Ray Center, at 12 o'clock. And that's sponsored by Roper Real Estate and also the Valley Pub, which is great. We thank them. Currently staffed for 2026, 18 returning staff and 4 new staff have been hired. We have 11 facility rentals for the month of April. And I just made a couple of notes, which is we have about 68 spots still available in our summer camps. So it's very full. About 50% taxpayer and 50% guest is the makeup of the existing registered people. But remember, I want to remind people that the guest rate is mostly made up of relatives, staff members, kids.
You're talking like
Cool.
grandkids or nieces,
The guest rate-
nephews sort of thing,
Guest rate, they're oftentimes associated with someone who lives here. So
right? Okay.
that just depends on how, we want to look at that. And that's it for my update, but I did send you out a little late. Did you pass that out?
Yep, we got
I
it.
did, I saw that.
The impact?
Oh, you did.
Yep, we got it.
So,
So you could look at that and, there's a couple things that aren't included in here, which would be like our events and, 1 or 2 programs that they're not always consistent year to year, so I didn't include it, but overall, it's a pretty significant increase that we're projecting. And of course, these are keeping in mind, using the numbers as if we'll have the exact same numbers in 26 that we did in 25, which never happens. It's either up or down. So
right,
it'll be very dependent, but these are the projections that I see.
but notionally, $45,000 is a very good impact.
It is, but it does seem to me, I mean, just the back of the envelope, the vast, well, say 75% of that increase is on the backs of families.
I mean, yes, it's just the cost
For
of our
kids.
program.
Yeah,
A lot of, there are
Yep.
that's just the kind of the nature of what we do though, right?
yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, the after school, the big one is the camps.
Yep, but
That-
that's also our biggest,
Yeah,
revenue. If you take this all away, I mean, that percentage wise, that's where we take in most of our revenue. So it's gonna have that effect.
sure. But it's also the after school is that another big one. The others are relatively small, Bear Factory, Safe Sitter.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think it's relative to.
Mhm.
If you take the increase out completely and you're just looking at the revenue per those programs, it's percentage wise, right? You have.
Right, that's what you do, you just straight line, Dave.
No, each of these are individual projections.
But in terms of the increase, were the differences in the increases, not money wise, but percentage wise across the programs? Like
No,
how
they're all different. You have to look at what the new rate is, right? And projected
Right, no, that's what I'm asking, like,
rate.
did you just do a 10% hike across the board? Or did you go down each particular?
No, I took the rate increases that you approved a month ago and I used those to project. So it's not an across the board.
Right, but the rate increases themselves, when you proposed them, they weren't necessarily a set percentage
No,
across
they
the
weren't.
board, you
Right,
varied
okay.
it, yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No,
We don't have as many adult programs yet, as you can see, we do have, a building program from, and I do have the data back to 21 in this, but basically see how it's building. Even though we're looking at a smaller number, it's going from 3,300 in 23 to a projection of 8,000 this year. You have. Hopefully, we have some building programs, but the nature of our work is with children.
Sure, yeah. I mean, some of these are so small I'd hate to see someone not go to the Safe Sitter program because the cost went up.
I mean,
I
that
know,
is true, but that's what we ask for. That's what the taxpayers are asking for. They want to see their taxes, the revenue go up.
yeah, it comes in at the end. It doesn't come in at the budget, but it does come in on the tax rate at the end.
Mhm.
And that's really the bottom line number. Yeah, anything?
no, I don't have any.
All right. Anything else for?
I
Anything
did
else
have
for Rick?
one question, sorry. How has it been working with the Freedom Pass program, with the transition? Has that been pretty smooth with the payments and
Yep.
whatnot?
It has been.
Cool.
There's been, sending the invoice for the last month's use, and it's been no problem to date.
What's the reimbursement percentage? Is it still the same?
Same exact, and that's why you don't see an increase in the boat rentals, which under the Freedom Pass, which is the majority,
Right,
is because that was already set. There was no way to increase that rate.
Right.
There's a small increase in the cash rate because we, of course, can raise the prices, which we
yeah,
did, but that's
right.
a small percentage.
Walk-ups,
of the income,
right.
The revenue. But otherwise, it's been fine. The numbers for climbing wall reimbursements are
Right.
pretty small. So I think the boat
Has-
revenue coming up will be different.
Has the lodging association or the resort talked to you at all about their plans to hold events this summer?
All I've heard is from the community call that I was able to listen to.
So they've not reached out to
They've
you
not reached out
about
to me at all.
the events they're planning?
No,
No coordination?
no.
Any other questions?
No.
Great. Dave, I see you hiding back there. Hello, sir.
Just had a good couple of interactions at the school. We taught Stop the Bleed last week with the middle school class. Got about 12 middle school kids certified in Stop the Bleed. And today we had a junior first responder fitness challenge where we went over and gave them the physical test that they would most commonly see for the police academy and the fire academy. So it was a fun morning with with that group. We had a really good firearms training 2 Fridays ago. And we accomplished our firefighter fit testing, our annual fit testing, where all our masks have to be fit tested for all our members. So we accomplished that all in one day, which was really good. End of the season, so we're just shifting gears. Kind of interesting, we had about half of the mountain calls that we typically do.
Really?
Conditions certainly do
Yeah.
make a difference.
Yeah.
When it comes to, having to call an ambulance. But we made up for it for the number of town calls. So comparatively for the same year, we're only down by 4 calls, 100
Wow.
compared to
Yeah.
96
What was going on in town? And was there any pattern to
A lot more sick people.
sickness,
Yeah,
illness?
Yeah, you know, typically in the winter time, we see a lot of trauma. This year was a lot more sick, so I don't know if it's just inversely related to there's just more people around in town. Or I, you know, I don't have the answer for that one, but
Okay.
it just seems that we really weren't down overall, but we were certainly down up at the mountain, but made up for it in town. I just thought that was kind of interesting to see. And want to share that with you. We got our hazard mitigation quarterly one report, so that's still at the state, waiting for the federal feds to approve that. Our obligations are all set for upgrading our hazard mitigation plan. The next one is the emergency operations plan. That one is overdue. We just need to make a decision on how we want to do that, whether it's through a grant and a match or just paying to have someone do it. I don't think this year is probably the year for it, but I'd probably want to put it slated in the budget for next year. But we're kind of overdue.
Yeah,
We're
is
overdue.
that like every 2-3 years or is it
They like to see him every 5.
every 5 years? Okay.
So believe it or not, our hazard mitigation
wow.
was, because they were doing hazard
Yeah.
mitigations plan through the state. We got on that one, so that one got renewed early. We were right at the 5-year mark for that one. But it's been 2010 since the EOP has been done.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
we need to get that one updated,
Yeah.
and get that done. Perhaps towards the end of the year, if some things work out. It's pretty short money if it's about $2,500 if, we have, the same contractor that does our hazard mitigation plan do it. If we hire her to do it, it's only about $2,500. If we get the grant, then it's a $3,500 match, through the state. So we could look at those numbers. We just had our first National Night Out meeting last week. So just starting to talk about National Night Out. We had 6 participating towns. We're very preliminary this year about participation, and we're still not quite sure of the location yet. So we're just trying to iron that out if we're still able to have it in Thornton. But I'll let you know. Nicole graduates from the police academy next Friday. We'll be very happy to see her. Chief Pear plans on attending, I'm sure with a couple other officers will be in attendance at the police academy on Friday.
Where is that, Chief?
Concord.
It's in Concord.
Yep, at the police academy. And we'll be glad to have her back. She'll be starting a 3 or 4 week FTO period, kind of pick up where she left off over the winter before she went in. And we're looking at Joe Lacasse will be retiring. His last day here will be April 26th, I believe. We're planning on just having a employee town recognition for him. I believe it's going to be down at the Owl's Nest on May 7th. If it's a Thursday night from 5 to 7. So you all are invited. Just a nice little recognition, just a very casual small get together for him, recognizing his 16 years total of service. I think 12 is a full-time member. But we're gonna certainly wish him well for a job well done. We much appreciate it.
But he will be coming back.
He is, he's
Yeah.
gonna stay on part-time. He's gonna do some traveling this summer, but come towards the fall, we're gonna keep him on the roster and hopefully fill in some part-time shifts here and there. So that'll be good.
Is he the only one that lives in town now, in DPS?
As far as police officers, yes.
Okay,
James Sullivan has a house here, but he doesn't live here full time.
Okay.
He's part time,
right.
and Eric Diaz doesn't live in town. With that in mind, with the retirees, we've just made a few changes. No, we're going to be here for a while. We started adding some historical retired and recognizing some of the names of our retirees up on the wall. We've hung their bunker coats up on the wall with their names on it to, kind of idolize all the retirees that have come through here. We're missing a few names and I'm trying to reach out to some of the Lakes Region fire departments for some more historical type fire gear from some of our older, going back to some of the first folks that were here. There's probably about
Volunteer
4 that are
days,
missing.
huh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if you're up in the fire bay and take a look, you'll see their coats with their names hung on them. When Joe leaves, we're gonna have him hang his coat. And then he'll retire, so just in case something happens while he's on the ladder.
Well, be better for the town if it happened afterward.
He's in the building, so we'll get him out of the building first, yeah.
Why don't you have him hand you the code? So, okay,
And the last thing I have, good news that engine 1 looks like it's gonna be ready, it's ready for our inspection by the end of May. We will go down to the factory and inspect it, and we would expect delivery to be mid to late June, early July. We're just anticipating that. I'll just work out with Steve and Ed as far as the getting the financing payment options prepared for that, just in anticipation to its delivery, that's all. Other than that, I don't have any other, yes.
where do we stand with all the permitting on the adventure zone issue?
So I'm just waiting to hear back from, to get the updated copy of the, performance bond, from Tyrell. I haven't seen it yet, so nothing has changed. As of last week, we sent them what our recommended changes to be. It hasn't come back yet. As soon as it does, then they'll be given the okay to start groundwork.
Okay,
The updated bond came in at 301, just so you're aware. I haven't looked at the language, but we have a revision to it in our inbox.
Oh, okay.
Wendy, did you have anything for Dave?
Nothing from you.
If I could just circle back to the EOP, that includes a look at Triple I Road, correct?
It's one component.
One part of it,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, there is a component to that, yes.
Right, because the special warrant article failed. It was $120,000. And our reason for putting it forth, one was that it could be important for an alternate route out, at least that portion from Ski Area Road to Livermore parking. And that also, if it was a good enough shape, people wouldn't drive in town, down Boulder, West Branch to get up to Livermore. It'd be like a bypass, like going around. In the EOP, I guess it would be very helpful to know really how important that road being passable at a certain speed, right? I mean, you can pass it now, but you better not be going very fast.
So as far as our evacuation routes, the having an alternate road out of town has been the #1 priority for as long as I've been here.
Yep.
The hangup has always been the Forest Service.
it's in the master plan actually that way too.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's been an issue. And that's why we keep on
it's been
paving it.
Yeah, it's been a major priority, but it's funding, the answer that I've always gotten from the Forest Service is who's paying for it?
Yeah, they're never going to, so we've always stepped up to the plate to keep it passable.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking Triple I Road, but a alternate route because.
Oh, and wherever it is, right, okay.
Yeah, the lessons that we learned from Irene is you're gonna lose Triple I Road no matter what. It's not a road that we.
I mean, beyond the barrier as you go,
Yeah, and that's where all the problems, we were fine up to the height of land.
right,
It was the backside, all the culverts
Get
got
washed
washed out. And there's I wanna say there's over a dozen of them. That made it
Right.
almost impossible to
So it never really will be an alternate evacuation route unless the Forest Service steps up with quite a lot of money. That's a good rest, about what, 7, 8 miles?
Yeah, Seven, we've proposed, opening up Incinerator Road again
Right,
and.
going down that old
And going
path.
down, staying on the high side of the river.
Yeah,
And coming out at 6 Mile.
yeah,
That to me seems the most feasible.
okay,
Way. The town of Gorham successfully navigated it, but they were working with private land. Because they flood, the middle of town floods and they needed a secondary route around.
Yeah.
It's a gated dirt road that people recreate on, year round. But if they need it, they open the gate and, it can be used to bypass
Right.
where it's flooded up.
but we'd have
We're
to
not-
get
we're
Forest
not
Service.
Very different. I did review how they, managed to get the funding, but again, the biggest hangup is the private versus federal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I sent around, I don't know if I sent it to you, Chief, there are changes coming to the Forest Service in this district, I think fewer personnel,
Yeah,
cuts and stuff, so forth, so there's no hope on the,
sure.
and
Yeah.
even the midterm horizon for anything from them.
Yeah, unless some, we get some intervention in Washington, and or some grant money that allows us to, be the beneficiaries of some funding for us to do it ourselves. I really don't see us being able to pull it off.
Will this EOP explore that at all or address?
It'll look, what it does is it will identify it as one of the major
Right, and we could use that to,
issues, and yes, as part of that, we would use it as supporting documentation for any.
yeah, I guess that would be the next step, I mean, whatever's going on, whether it's FEMA or somebody else.
Yeah,
At least we'll have an up-to-date document in hand saying we need an alternate route out of town.
Yep.
Especially when we're full up, thousands of people in town. Anything else for Dave? Hi,
No,
Morgan.
Thank you.
Morning, good afternoon, whatever
Okay.
time of day it is. So, trash truck got the part a little sooner than expected, so it is up and running for tomorrow morning.
Good.
So earlier than expected by one day, but still, it is up and running again. It seems, it really likes to go down on like 4 weeks. So, maybe we could cut back on those so it doesn't break it off then. But, right now, just getting prepared for spring, Memorial Day and everything, making sure street sweeping is lined up. If you haven't
Are
noticed.
we doing street sweeping this year?
Yeah, we
Yes.
kept that in the budget.
Yeah.
We decided to keep that, was it 15?
Okay, we
No,
kept.
five.
that in?
Five, we
Five.
kept the 5,000 in. for the-
Okay,
Yeah.
That includes some selective catch basin clean out. If they're really bad with the sand, they'll get cleaned out at the same
Right.
time. If you hadn't noticed, we did start putting up, we put up all the crosswalk signs.
Mhm.
We are waiting until the street is swept to do the delineators. But the crosswalk signs are up, so we're just working through that.
When do you think the sweeping is going to happen?
I emailed him, he hasn't emailed me back yet, but he said he was gonna give me a 2-day notice, and he said it would probably be a week before Memorial Day,
Okay, good.
so. But definite date, I don't have that, as soon as I have it, I will let
Alright.
y'all know and Facebook know as well. And then I'm working on new flags, so that way they're all uniform and nice for, the summer. About it, just, garage doors are happening, if you haven't seen
Yep,
them. come
noticed.
by.
Yeah,
So those have started. I was told that we're going from residential doors to commercial doors. So
Wow,
Probably
you
a
were
good thing.
residential on there?
that's what they like.
okay.
So, that's the
Yeah.
major things happening.
what's going on with the dam?
So we are pulling blocks slowly as we can. I mean, with all the melting and the rain that we're having, we're taking them out as we can as the water level allows. Trying to get down as far as we can, so that way we can get basically a little trickle. Pretty much, so that way we can get in there, seal it, and put all the blocks back in, so Brooke can, utilize summer activities in there.
Is that on schedule or?
It is, yep. Right now we're pulling about 3 blocks aside, once to twice a week.
When do we expect to be ready?
It'll probably be a week, week and a half after Memorial Day, unfortunately, as of right now.
So the pond will be empty for Memorial Day?
It is a possibility.
No. I thought it was gonna,
Possibility. I'm giving you the worst case right now with rain. So,
So boat operations, we should plan not to open until the following weekend.
I would say yes.
When was your plan prior to this? It was earlier than that,
Well,
wasn't
we'll
it?
always open.
Memorial Day
Yeah.
weekend.
yeah,
We'll have to
They
come
said-
back.
We only have about 6 blocks left in the dam,
Yes.
so
is there anything to do to expedite it, like pumping or anything?
that's a lot of water to pump.
Hmm.
Not really. I don't have a big enough pump. I don't think you have a big enough pump. So,
But if we have a dry spell, I mean,
if we have
speed
a
things
dry
up,
spell, yes, we will.
which
be
isn't
able to-
happening this week.
Mm.
No, they're supposed to get about an inch of rain this week.
I guess the only thing is just we'll stay in touch about this because
Yeah.
I would want to make the appropriate announcements if it's not gonna.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I think you had, go ahead.
One other thing, I don't think it's on the agenda, but I've given you a bench memorial program application potentially. If you're wanting to start that back up again and possibly get some, benches installed, new benches installed, I did, like I said the last time, I did have one person reach out and ask if we were still doing that. So I made this and just for y'all's review and kind of go from there, start the conversation at least.
Okay, take a look at it. You had a couple requests for the select board, I believe.
Yep, one of which technically, I guess, is on the agenda, under old business, and then the other one was a trees, I'm gonna request them pretty much every year.
Where would the
Just-
money come from this year? I think it was like $4,500 last
Yeah.
year.
I believe that is still in under summer maintenance, tree removal. I believe it's only $5,000. I have to go back and look.
So
So that would
it
take it all up.
would basically eat up the
You
whole,
would take those two.
They're still standing.
They're still standing.
I mean, when's the last time we actually had an expert analysis of those trees? I mean, they are the two very tall, one of the two very tall trees, and there aren't many like them left in the valley itself, the village area. I mean, why do you want to take them down? I guess is what I'm asking. What makes you think they're a danger? I mean, in your
So. So one of them.
communication, you said it was
So the one-
dangerous.
It's right left right now, but the top of the tree is dead,
It's the one on the right, I
the
think.
one on the right, yeah.
Just looking at
And I
it, yeah.
also, when the co-op was doing work to, that box right there, pretty close to it, I stopped and asked what they were doing, and they had asked me about the tree, because they were worried about the roots, interfering with their equipment. I said I would bring it up, and then the other one, same height, just worried about the potential of it killing or ruining some property.
Okay,
I don't think that's good use of money this year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if I might add,
yeah,
I believe the last time we had an expert look at those trees, the expert that we used was actually with top-notch tree
yeah, the
cutting
tree cutters,
services,
right,
Right.
which
yeah,
Yeah,
didn't seem,
probably isn't the
I
best.
think they may have had an interest in
little
Yeah.
ulterior motive.
Yeah.
So
the outcome.
maybe we actually try to find a true arborist to come out and take.
Well, we
a-
had talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark said he was gonna do it, but the whole thing just dropped.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, I had conversations with Mark about it and he had contact, he got a list
He,
from.
right, I remember that
And he had contacted
discussion with the
people, but I
select
don't
board.
know
There's two in town.
where.
are there?
Are there?
All right, well, you can take a look at it, but even then, I mean, it'll eat up the whole budget for 2 trees, and there are a number of other trees, I think. I don't think were you able to get through all the other trees in town last year that you identified?
No,
So, I mean, at least we should try to take care of those, at least just in terms of volume, spend some of the money on a larger number of trees rather than all of it on
Well,
2
somewhat,
trees.
yeah,
Right.
somewhat like the roads, if we can prioritize the worst case.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I did go
Cases and
around
take
with,
care of them,
with,
yeah.
Megan and, there were some really pretty obvious ones.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, if you want to relook at that list and take a look at it, I think that, most of that was town work, right? There was a couple $1,000s there or something like that, $1,500
Yeah,
for the tree, for Top Notch to come in and take care of it. Am I remembering correctly?
I can't recall exactly how much, but I think there was something there.
Yeah, yeah, that was a difference, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, no, actually, it may have been closer to like 5. I think the
No, they
total.
wanted $5,000 for those 2 trees
Right, but
down by the
no,
library.
yeah, I'm talking, there was another, I think it's another 5, I think the total package was like 10.
10.
And we said, at the time, we said, the 5 is okay for all those other trees, but 5,000 on 2 trees,
Let's hold off.
let's hold off on
Yeah.
that. But I don't think those trees were done.
They did do some work, right?
Did they
we
do some?
did some.
Last year?
And then it was stopped, yeah,
All right, well, we just have to reevaluate that and let us know,
absolutely.
look at it, but I mean, budget will be an issue.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll hit the other topic and on the agenda. Was there anything else, Megan?
The, in coordination with the community cleanup, we will still be doing the brush day. So we just ask that anybody who does have brush that they need picked up, it is a, 4-inch diameter by 4 foot in length. That we can accept to burn.
Yeah.
And we would like it to be done, have it out prior to 11 a.m.
Put it on the town website?
Yep.
Front page,
I'll share the flyer with you that we created that details that information.
right, get that out to post office and
It's just
other
been
places.
put out today on social media, and so it will go to other places very soon.
Did our quarterly bills go out?
They did.
Oh, okay, well, that's not it. Okay. Okay. Anything else, Megan?
I don't know if I put it out officially or not, but Jen did pass her CDL test a week ago now. So she is out driving the truck. Her son was sick today, so she was out today. The trash truck was also down, but, yep, so you'll see Jen out there driving the trash truck, hopefully from here on
Good.
out.
From here on out, or sharing the responsibilities?
We can talk about that.
Okay.
On the transfer station.
Fair
if you'd
enough.
like.
Fair enough.
All right. Any questions from the board? Any further questions for DPW?
No.
Nope, nothing. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Municipal services. Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
Yeah, now, make sure people can hear you.
Yeah.
We can move the,
Microphone over.
I can just bump over.
okay, you could do that too.
Not much to really update. One of the main things is just doing repair work after the winter. Winter's hard on the lagoons, the aeration headers. Basically, all it is braided cable that holds all of our aeration headers in place. So once we get snow and ice over the top of the lagoons, that weighs on them, pulls them out of their clasps that hold everything together as for tension, breaks the headers, tears the membranes, things like that. So we started doing repairs on that this week. Aside from that, it's just been getting things ready actually for what's on the horizon with breakpoint season. Starting to get some of our seasonal equipment back into the swing of things, starting to get some chemical orders in the works, and just taking the mothballs out of things really. So
Everything else,
yeah, everything else.
SOP?
Yeah, everything else is smooth sailing for now. Have a couple small updates when we get to the project.
Okay.
So we
We can do that.
Unless
Okay.
you have any questions, it's
Anything for
No,
Dylan on regular operations? All right,
thank you.
thank you. Administrative services?
So the one, item, we had a software update that needed to take place in our utility billing system, which caused a little bit of a delay to get our bills out. Usually like to get the bills out within the second week of the month. But the bills did get printed on Monday and have been stuffed and are starting to be inserted into mailboxes and sent out in the mail, today.
did you check to make sure that the software update didn't screw everything up?
Yes, yeah. Kristen and I, so one of the biggest
Which
changes.
is the real problem. with
Exactly.
Software updates.
One of the biggest changes that you'll all notice on your utility bills is my name is off of them now as tax collector, and you'll see Kristen Fisher as the tax collector on the bill. And so through the process, her and I, since she hasn't been very familiar and intimate with it, spent a lot of time going through it and did do a review as well. So they looked good to us. The one change that we made on this cycle was we did not include past due property tax amounts
Right,
on this
that
bill.
confused people.
Yeah.
However, people will see past due utility amount.
That
So
makes sense.
if they owed
Yeah,
last quarter's water and sewer, that amount will show as additional amounts due. But no property taxes this time, because that
Cool.
did cause quite a bit
It
of.
got people
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did help in our collection efforts, I'll say that, but I don't know, I was trying to off-weight the.
It helped a lot though in the collection efforts, right?
Yeah, it
well, but
did.
the timing was such that
It
it was
just-
before the due date for the taxes, so that was. an
Yeah.
And
issue.
and
Right.
people were confused, some may
Yeah.
have paid and didn't realize they had, they paid them too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the folks that had their payments queued up with their escrow accounts.
Yep.
Saw those bills in advance and they were
What
a
happened?
little panicky
Yeah.
that their escrow didn't cut the check to the
Yeah.
pound. So,
And so Kristen is still working on the other aspect of it, getting the backlog of bills that have not been paid
Yep,
straightened out.
yep, doing her best efforts
Mhm.
in collections for sure. Fortunately enough, we're still, our collections are pretty low. I don't see any
Mhm.
areas of huge concern, except for an account that we have talked about in the past that still seems to linger out there, but you will see in our next select board meeting, I believe, some abatement requests. And there will be one associated with that account in there that we can further discuss.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough. Anything else?
our auditors are planning on April 30th to be out in person to do
Hey, aren't you on vacation then or no?
That's the day I get back, right? I
Okay.
didn't do that. Yeah, so they'll be here.
Ed's first day, nice.
It'll be Ed's first day, but he will be removed from that process.
Sure,
Quite a bit. I'll obviously give him an update on how things are progressing, but Katie's been doing a great job getting the auditors a lot of information ahead of time. They work through a portal called SureLink. So a lot of the requests that they have for
Mhm.
payroll information and financial information can be shared with them through that portal in advance of them actually being on site. So I think we're progressing pretty nicely there, so.
And it's just a matter of making sure we implemented the well, it's not new any longer, but that was a big issue. Well, it was an issue last time, right? Transferring over to the new system and
In twenty
and trying to
twenty.
integrate their recommendations.
In 2024, that's when we brought BSNA online in May of that year. And there were a lot of complexities in 2024 associated with converting from QuickBooks to BSNA and
Right.
tying out those books. So
Yeah.
our
The
auditors,
25 audit was
much smoother. It will
Yes.
be much smoother. So,
the 26th one, right?
Yeah. no, 25.
Oh,
They're
20,
auditing
that's right,
yeah.
25, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Other
Okay.
than that, I think that's it from admin, unless you had any questions.
No?
Nope.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, let's move on. There's no new business. Let's move on to old business. The town manager onboarding plan.
So if you don't,
Yep, go for it.
just a quick update. So Ed
Yep.
has been gracious enough to spend a couple of days up with us prior to his start date, April 30. So his first day was Monday, this past Monday, where we met with a couple of our department heads. Quick hour and a half introductory meetings, trying to get to know each other and He plans to be back on Monday, the 20th, next Monday, to continue that effort, just to get some FaceTime here in town before his actual start date. I have ordered all of his equipment, computer, phone, anything else associated with his onboarding, his keys, his fobs that he needs are all ready to go. He has his work phone now. He left with that on Monday.
Does he have a work email yet?
And I'll be sharing that email. The email is gonna get set up next week when IT is here to do all the switchovers. So Ed will be sitting again in my office that I have now, and I'll be just be moving over next door. So I'm comfortable that he's progressing nicely through the onboarding stage. He's still very excited to get going up here and learn more about all of our projects that we have going on. He's sitting in on Monday's capital project meeting that Dylan and I have been having, so he'll be getting pretty intimate with the wastewater treatment plant project, where we're at with that. He also sat in with me on a meeting that I had with Tyrell Development last week that I think is on the agenda under correspondence, right? It's later on the agenda about the connector trail. So
Mhm.
we can talk a little more about that when we get there.
I got a request again from Andy Knight, from the Wigwag to interview him for the May issue.
Okay,
So if you could, I don't have Andy's phone number, but I can give you his email
that'll work.
if you want to talk to Andy about it
Yeah,
first, right?
okay. Yeah,
I think he's just looking for just a bio. It won't be anything particularly
okay.
in depth about town operations, but
I know that Ed is traveling tomorrow. But I will see if they can connect at some point
all right,
before Monday.
all right. Later today, I'll send you Andy's. Well, you might have his email.
have his
You have his email?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll
that's
work,
right.
we'll
All
work
right,
out.
all right. Well, I'll get back to Andy and tell him, let him know that you're gonna reach out.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on
Mm-mm.
town manager onboarding plan? Let's move to the wastewater treatment facility project update. You're up again, Dylan.
So regarding communications update, I don't really have, Steve, unless you have a communications update. We haven't heard anything come in from any townsfolk or anything like that, asking for any further information regarding the project, which people are always more than welcome to inquire about that. Aside, because really I view these updates as kind of just a brief update at that for the select board and just making people aware that we're on task. But engineering update, Black Beach is hard at work. There is still, I actually forgot to bring it to this meeting, it's no big deal. Truly, the next meeting though, I'm going to have the amendment for all the work that EPA and basically the town agreed to do regarding the lagoons, and looking into means and methods to better be in compliance with the existing.
Is this for the AOC?
Yes. Yeah. So that, if you recall, Black Beach had given us a draft amendment probably 9 months ago,
Mhm.
8 months ago. And the problem was that I encouraged the board to hold off on signing it until we had something back from EPA saying that they were accepting what was being proposed. I didn't want to have us agree to do work that would have been
Sure.
Right,
They're not
rejected by
starting.
EPA.
Yeah, right. So verbally, I told Black and Beach, because the next part will make sense why I did this. I told Black and Beach to begin work on that. And the reason for that, I'm gonna go right into the legal update, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
We had Steve and I, Jim Steinkraus, Myra Frankucci, Will Walkup, and Chuck Pike met with EPA regarding our draft AOC. They heard what we had to say and we heard what they had to say. At the end of the day, I think that they were very accommodating for where we were coming from and what our concerns were. I think, Steve, feel free to jump in here as well. I think there was a couple of things that they were surprised to hear, and I think it's more so just because they don't have any experience with coming up here. They have no history to draw from to say how this facility operates or anything of that
Hmm.
nature. So I educated them on a couple things that I think they just assumed were within the facility's operation and control, without. I'll be less,
Yeah.
vague about that.
Got it.
Basically, what it is the lagoons, when we have our algae blooms, the algae utilizes the ammonia as a nutrient source.
Mhm.
So it makes it appear that we're actually nitrifying in our lagoons, but that's not what's happening. So they assumed that we're actually nitrifying in our lagoons biologically with microbiology. And I had to inform them, no, we don't have any control over that. That actually, in actuality, having algae blooms is more harmful for the environment than the ammonia we discharge.
Right.
So, I think that kind of caught them as a surprise, because at least the body language looked surprised, when I informed them of that. So they may take that into account with how they do their estimations for a concentration that we're gonna have to meet as a draft limit. Aside from that, Jim had proposed what is the
Force majeure.
force majeure, yes,
Mhm.
language, and apparently, there's a pretty significant difference between an AOC and I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry, on the language. Anyway, there's one that's put into effect by the courts, and the AOC is not. It is an agreement.
Right, it's agreement between us and EPA.
Correct. A type of agreement, or not. really
Consent
agreement.
order, was it? No. it was-
Yeah, consent decree.
Yeah.
A
consent.
consent decree is put into effect by the courts, and
Right.
that's the only time and place that you can have force majeure language added into the agreement.
It's not that we couldn't, it's just that EPA wasn't familiar with seeing that language in the consent order. So that was really the only, meat of what our edits to that AOC were that they contested.
We pushed back on the dates as well. We showed them that the dates that they're asking for, not only not even realistic, they're not attainable, even if Black and Beach spent all the time that they had on this.
Just
So
that, yeah.
I think they had September of 26 is when they wanted the study to be complete by. We pushed back and said December, end of December of 26 is the best we can do in terms of having the report. And then we're at the mercy, basically, and this is where EPA, I think, was very amenable. We're at the mercy of having the contractor to do, and even if the study shows anything is feasible, because that's the other side of this. The study might show that nothing is feasible, and EPA acknowledged that as well.
Okay.
But if there is something that's feasible, we're at the mercy of having contractors to do the work. And it's also has to be done within our construction period window, which I reminded them, this is not Boston.
Mhm.
We're not doing construction 10 months out of the year. So they, I don't know if they appreciated that reminder, but I just thought it was necessary because we don't have the luxury of doing construction even 9 months out of the year in most circumstances. So,
Along with that, that's, I think, right around the time during the call, Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they started to get interested about how much financing we have approved by the town. And they were, I feel like they were pretty
Satisfied.
pleased and
Yeah.
satisfied to hear that this most recent authorization was passed. And I think that was primarily due to the fact that they want to make sure the town has the funding available to make any modifications potentially to the lagoons in advance of the plant being built.
well,
which-
if I may add to that, Steve, as well, I think it's also to make sure that we can actually comply with the AOC they're going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
But to Steve's point, it's all in all, there's so many.
right,
facets
what's
to that.
why, yeah,
It's not, it's not just the wastewater treatment facility upgrade, but to Steve's point, it's now we have this other segment of doing a study. They want to make sure that we had funding allocated to these different facets and not just
Mm.
strictly for construction of the facility. So they, again, they took it well. I think we had a follow up directly after that with all the parties from the town side, and again, Jim Steingraus was very pleased with how it went. He said that it went better than he anticipated. Yeah.
Balls in their court.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are just waiting to receive the final, I believe, I don't know if it's draft language, would it be second draft language and then we would agree to it?
I
I
believe
think
so.
that's how,
Yeah.
so second draft, and then so long as they incorporate everything that, that we agreed upon verbally. Which obviously will go to the select board, because no one's gonna agree to that without the select board seeing it first. Then I think we're in good shape. There's some things that are gonna be somewhat of a pain.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of the time that it will take for that second draft?
I think it's gonna be quickly,
Yeah.
because when EPA was here, when they did the site visit, they were kind of pushing Steve and I, to try to just willfully accept what they put in front of us. I think that they have something pushing them on the back end as well to get this, AOC put into effect.
Yeah.
Because they want to basically make sure that we're quote unquote in compliance,
Mhm.
as soon as possible. So, but to give you an answer, I wouldn't think more than a month at this point, because, they were very quick to want to have a follow-up meeting with us,
Okay.
which was the most recent meeting, which was what, April 7th, I believe, something. Yeah, sounds right, April 9th, April 7th, something like that. So I wouldn't think it'd be longer than a month.
Okay.
But this is the federal government, so.
Yeah. Okay.
The
All right,
site
we'll continue to
inspection.
wait.
The
Yeah.
site inspection, we're still waiting for the report.
Yes.
Of the findings of the existing facility. That inspection, in my opinion, and I think Dylan concurs, went really well. But we'll see what the output is from that.
Okay. A couple big decisions we're waiting on
Well,
near term
yeah,
in terms of costs, potential
Exactly.
additional costs.
I did put a call out to Will Walkup last week, and I did ask him, and I prodded a little bit about the existing facility conditions assessment, and in terms of what he thinks some failures could potentially be this year or next year, in an effort to bond correctly by the end of the month. So he's gonna get back to me. The largest thing, and I think Dylan can attest to this, that, you know, has the potential of failure is the final carbon vessel that we have in there,
Right.
that's actually functioning. So I asked him to focus on a price to replace a carbon vessel. And if it's okay with you, once we get that estimate back, that's probably a good estimate of what I'll be asking to bond for. Replacement of one. He said the other things, and Dylan, feel free to add, but the other things are relatively minor, pumps here and there, and so we'll see what we get there. And just as a reminder, I'm sorry I didn't have this on my update, but we had 645 for the fire truck and an additional 500,000 for roads. So the 645 plus the 500 plus whatever Will gives us
Right.
is what we'll
We're
be
gonna
doing
bond at the summer.
for the
bond.
summer sale. Yeah.
Any questions?
Anything else from anybody?
No.
Nothing further to say on funding at this point?
Yeah, question with respect to funding. I know right after we had the town meeting that you were contacted and I don't know who it was, I can't remember.
CWSRF.
Tracy
Right.
would.
And they were going to then be going down to Washington or whatever. Did you hear back from them?
Not yet. First or second week of April, she said she was going down. So
First or second week?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're second week right now.
if I don't hear from him by the end of the month, I'll ping him again, but
Okay. Just reach back, make sure we're keeping those lines of communication open.
absolutely.
That's important.
Anything else for Dylan?
No.
The
I'll never
project?
remember those acronyms.
Okay, thank you, Dylan. Let's move on to municipal solid waste and the various issues, current ops and future plans. So the transfer station process / operations update. Megan?
Yep, so I submitted a request to y'all. I don't know if I'm gonna continue submitting requests that way or not, but I thought it's kind of easy. Cause then y'all can read about it and give me any questions that you may have. But I would like to, since Jen is moved into that CDL position, at least internally full-time, I would like to utilize her full-time Monday through Friday for solid waste operations, driving the truck. And move Mike back into his supervisory position. With that, it would be moving her off of Sundays, and in the meantime, not having Sundays open. If we were to utilize her full-time during the week, Monday through Friday, and still wanted
Sundays open, it would be a revolving thing. Between all employees that have solid waste license.
Mhm.
For the town, which is. Roughly 5 out of 7. Me included in that,
Sundays are important.
okay.
Yeah.
So
There's no way we can't have Sundays.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this time of year, we may be able to reduce hours. I think because the reason we do Sunday, obviously, we're a resort town and a lot of second homes and people on their way out on a Sunday. Need to have a place to deposit their trash, but do we need to be 9 to 5? That's what Sunday is now, right? Ski season has ended. Will shortening the hours be an option here?
we would still include overtime, it would still be on a rotational basis,
Mm-hmm.
for people, I've already exceeded in one OT line. We're about 50% on the others, so that other 50% would be the winter OT coming up, at the end of the.
Well, why can't you just keep Jen on the, I don't know, if it was a Sunday to Thursday, and she's not necessarily driving the truck full time, but all the time, but one day, and then not accrue the OT that way.
We could do that.
I just,
I think any plan has to include a Sunday. It
Yeah,
does,
I agree.
it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 days a week. I mean, this is one of the issues that we were concerned about with the budget cut and some of our operating budget lines like overtime. We tried to minimize that as much as possible. But I think we have to have a Sunday. We're just a unique town. We're a resort town. We're not like other towns who do it on a Saturday.
right,
It just wouldn't work here. Now, if a Sunday is an actual holiday, I can see moving to a Saturday or a Monday
sure,
as an alternate day, but Sundays are important days. So, I mean, I can see reducing hours, especially this time of year. That would be my recommendation here. I would like Ed to get involved in this decision since he'll be managing things before we make any major changes.
I briefed him
Yeah.
on it and he told me that he'd be very interested to spend a day or two, or whatever it takes down in the department to assess the hours of operations currently and make recommendations moving forward.
Right.
Okay.
So in the interim, if you want to try to come up with a plan that includes someone, I'm thinking like, I don't know, 10 to 3 or something like that. Or 9 to 2. I mean, something that captures the time where the vast majority of people leaving are likely to use the transfer station. Because it is your busiest day, right?
Sundays,
Sundays.
when I was there, I didn't think it was.
But I
that
mean, in
busy
terms of, I
compared
think
to
you
during
charted
the
it
week.
out one year and it was
Yeah,
Sunday.
I've charted it out recently. So I
Okay,
can tell you, but-
all right, well, then I'll just assume it is then at this point, but I would think.
During ski season, I would think it would be.
It
because
was,
all the
yeah, I
people
mean,
in
it
the
stands
last thing
to
do.
reason. Right, but it's not
The
just ski
homes.
season because people have second homes here and they
Right,
come up on a Friday
Right.
and go home on a Sunday, right?
right,
Even if they're not skiing.
yeah.
So if you want to rework something, until Ed has an opportunity to really revamp what you're doing, but I think Sunday,
yeah,
Sunday
and
has to
keeping an
stay.
eye on that OT line, because I'd hate to eat that up before next.
Running
winter
into the
rolls around with all the.
beginning of the
What if we
second
cut
quarter.
Hours on
Yeah.
2 days,
Well,
you could make up some hours
right,
there.
I mean, we're looking at 40 hours, right? Because state law does not require any extra pay on a Sunday or right? It's just overtime.
Right,
It's not, we don't have
And our pay periods go Monday to Sunday.
Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
So given the personnel you have there, 5 of you, work out 40 hours. Now, I certainly would be open to when Ed gets a chance to look at it for people who do work Sunday. I mean, New Hampshire's probably different than just about every other state, or at least nearby states. When people work on Sunday, you may get time and a half instead of just your regular time. I'd be certainly willing to look at that. for Sundays. Since that is a normal, day off for most people.
Not in this town.
Not,
I can't think of the last time I had Sundays off regularly. but
Right.
That's just.
No,
you know,
that's
'cause
true.
It's a resort town.
it's a resort
the
town,
nature of where
and that's
we
what
are.
makes us different, and that's why we keep
Yeah.
it at the 40. That we keep it the regular time for 40 hours. So, yeah, I think you see where the board is coming from here. I also noticed that on your calendar, you had Sunday, Mother's Day and Sunday, Father's Day as days closed.
Yeah.
It can't be.
Yeah.
It just can't. Those aren't holidays. And we got to keep Sundays open, so you're gonna have to do something there too, I'm afraid. If the board agrees with me.
I agree. I mean, they aren't
Yeah.
federal holidays.
Yeah, I mean, we try to keep it to state recognized federal holidays as much as possible. Now, there are times when we can perhaps use an alternate day. I don't think it would work in those cases. Again, Sunday's sort of the critical day. If we had to pick one of the 3 days,
Yeah.
it would have to be a Sunday. If we were down to 1 day a week.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think you have to relook at the schedule. You can't do Mother's Day and Father's Day as days off or closed either. I would say work it out with the interim town manager until that gets a chance to
Will do,
look at it. And,
sure.
yeah, and I think you're hearing the board is willing to look at our changes too to help control the overtime costs.
Yeah,
Right,
this is
yeah.
our, pretty much kind of our first full year with the new design, so it's now a good opportunity for us to maybe look at the shoulder seasons and see if there's anything we can peel back a little, and then.
Yeah, on the shoulder seasons,
make
and
some modifications.
all 3 days have different times too, which I find very annoying, frankly.
Okay,
I don't know why they can't be open roughly the same time, with
Sure.
maybe differences on a Sunday, but each day we're open, it's a different time period.
What
Well,
was
it's
the
to
logic?
be able to catch people who actually have to get to work in the mornings and
Yeah,
to
that's what
drop it
that
off
was.
in the
Right,
mornings.
but
when
it's a
they're
half
going out,
hour,
but
it's not like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
slotted one way or
confusing
the other.
timeline.
It's, you wonder how many more people you're gonna catch. If you're trying to catch the morning people, yeah,
Do the full hour
Do
instead of
the-
the half hour.
do the full hour instead of the half hours, I don't know, just. But yeah, work it out, and then when Ed gets a chance to look at it, that would be a great time to redo.
Yeah.
That until we come up with a new method of doing things. And you mentioned the truck, so we're hopefully up and running.
It is up and running, so it will be out and about tomorrow morning.
Good,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I had just put on the agenda, Megan, I'm sure you picked it up if there was any update on Bethlehem, but I don't know. I've heard.
Or my Timmy Baker meetings. Keep getting pushed around, so I won't have the next one until April 30th,
Okay,
so.
yeah, and the MSW working group did not get the opportunity to meet on Tuesday. We will be meeting tomorrow. We were supposed to meet yesterday,
Okay,
but we're meeting tomorrow instead, to continue discussions. So I don't
Okay.
have a lot to report, but we had been discussing, as Steve brought up, the concept that we're potentially enforcing enclosures that may be obsolete in a year, and should we soften that deadline?
no, that's a
or-
very good point, actually. It depends where we go to, but we may still need dumpster enclosures, even if we go to a different system.
Oh,
We may not be
absolutely.
servicing,
No,
the town may not be
absolutely. Yes,
servicing the dumpsters.
if there's a dumpster, it has to be enforced.
Right,
But if an association or a business decides not to do a dumpster, then it seems. So I don't know if we give it another 6 months
well,
or a year.
it'll depend on what timeline the
we-
MSW
Yeah.
sees for the change. Do
Exactly.
you have a feel for that beyond what you
Um,
told us?
Not yet,
last
I
time?
mean. In my mind, and just me thinking personally, it would be nice just to be able to find a way. Get Megan to get creative about what to do in an interim time period between. A vote for funding next town meeting or 2027 town meeting,
Mhm.
and
Today,
and that whatever time it takes to construct a new facility in there, there'd be a few months lapse. So actually not just town meeting, but also April when the Bethlehem plant closes. Because it's after that next April when Bethlehem closes. And again, unless if that gets bumped out a month, 2 months. Cristobal is working on that
Okay.
to know what could happen there.
What
So,
do we do if we were to request funding from the town and they were to reject it?
well, we would
We
have,
would need to think of the
we would have to have an
fallback.
an
plan.
alternative, more expensive plan
alternative.
for them.
Well, it
to
would be
approve
commercials
and
coming
pay.
in and servicing the town, I think would be the. I mean, this situation, again, be we're a unique town, and this is an outgrowth of the fact that we were once a company town.
Yep,
And I'd be interested to know how many other towns in New Hampshire. Where the municipality, for example, services the commercial entities. That may be one thing we could do.
yep,
To change
Do that
things up a little
research.
bit, and the
Yeah.
word's already around town, by the way, that we're
Sure.
considering
yeah. Well,
major
it's a big-
changes,
It's a big
but,
change,
right,
potentially, and,
but the town could get a contract with outside waste management company at some exorbitant price
yep,
if people didn't want to spend money to change.
Right, we're gonna have to be in a position to be able to articulate the options to people.
Mhm.
of course.
So
That's
that
the
they
hope,
understand.
the plan, I should say, for next town
If you
meeting.
do this, it's gonna cost this much. If you do this,
Mhm.
it's gonna cost.
I think
that
that's what
Of
Wendy
course,
briefed.
That's why my
yeah.
very first discussion about this was mentioning the 30 to 50% projected savings and
Right.
doing it this way.
Right.
With our current numbers, not even looking at the greater expenses that will be coming
Right.
with going out somewhere
Right.
elsewhere than Bethlehem. So no, that's been
Yeah.
obviously part of the whole plan.
Do you feel there may be another sub bullet under this update that would be important for us to continue discussing? I winged it, maybe an MSW
Status of
committee update
MSW,
or-
yeah,
Um,
planning,
Timeline.
yeah, I mean. I think.
week to week?
Yeah, I think.
yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
kind of
Good.
covered by we tried to cover it in the landfill closure update, but you can put a sub bullet or,
I mean,
or
just
just
that having
change that to-
MSW on there.
yeah,
think
I
we
mean, that's
know.
the issue that
We
they're
know.
talking about. So the immediate issue is do we want to continue with our current timeline
Right,
on the dumpster enclosures, but I'm wondering how long will it be before we change anything? I mean, we're hoping for
right.
next year, but
It would probably be next fall, fall
So, well,
2027 would
so we're
presumably
probably
be the
looking at a year
earliest.
and a half,
Right,
maybe 2 years, and we don't know what we're actually going to be moving to either, right?
but I think we will have a better sense in the next 6 months, right? We'll have, Ed settled in, we'll be approaching budget season. We'll have had the chance to really explore any other options.
Mhm.
So I would think in 6 months, this board should have a pretty clear sense of where we'd like to ask the town to get to.
So would you
go.
suggest extending that deadline by a few months?
Well,
Well, I would. Go ahead, Rich.
no, I was just
No.
gonna say, practically speaking, it wouldn't be a few months, it would be the next year.
Yeah,
Because of, if there are significant changes that people have to make, repairs, what have you. Once you hit September, October, it isn't gonna
Yeah.
happen.
yeah.
So if we extend, right now, we're sitting on, was it 1 July or 30 June?
I thought it was the end of July.
Was the end of July,
End
30,
of July.
end of July,
That's my recollection.
so
Megan, how many?
that's
So.
3 months,
We
all
gave
right,
them-
we still got 3 months.
So originally
Yeah.
we gave them till last July to give us a plan.
And then we
We're gonna give them
extended
till
it.
This July
Yeah,
to build it, and then
Implement
we
it.
extended it to, they have to give us a plan by this July, the end of this July.
How
But we can
many
still go with a
people have
plan.
Given us a plan?
Still quite a bit, is,
Well, how many?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It's basically all of Valley Run's properties that I've not gotten plans for.
Well, we can still go ahead with that deadline, I think, for a plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. we
Just a
could
plan. I'm not requiring to do anything to just have to give us a plan of what they plan to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
And they could certainly get quotes for what it's gonna cost them to do it as part of that plan.
Yep.
And when was the actual date of, you have to make sure you're in compliance with our regulations?
The end of July, this coming July.
It is actually
Right.
this coming July.
Is what we told them.
Yeah, is that, I think the thought was, if I'm remembering correctly, that, well, they could give the plans whenever, they just know the work has to be done.
Done by
So-
then, that's the way we land, that's where we
Yeah.
landed last time. I mean, we could go to the end of September, just as an interim measure at this point.
For construction or,
Well, just the question is one of relief from doing anything this year, I
Right.
guess,
right,
because of our plans.
yes,
But what I'm struggling with is our plans.
yes,
And even if we come up with something, whatever that is, it's probably not gonna happen for another year and a half.
right.
So are we okay with the dumpsters looking the way they look that aren't in compliance for at least another year and a half?
Well,
Isn't that the question?
it's been working with WMAX systems, the White Mountain Athletic Club's dumpster enclosures with their,
Honestly, pretty great. I haven't heard any complaints or haven't been any.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, that's a very low.
they're not
cost.
required to have gates.
Right, that's there, it's screened, quite
It's screened.
literally
It's
green
screened,
fabric
right.
screens. And that's a very, I would think, reasonable cost. Now, if you get to like concrete pads and whatnot, that's of course a larger expense. But if we address the screening aspect of it for 18 months, and then if whatever an association of business wants to continue using a dumpster, then we enforce the concrete pad after. So maybe the thing for this year is to look at screening, since we have a guinea pig business who's already gone ahead and found an inexpensive way to do it.
Which we are supposed to give an answer to.
Right.
Rainy,
Yeah.
Right,
because we said we were gonna wait until after the winter, so.
right. Well, screening would comply with the would comply with the dumpster regulation.
Yeah,
Well, then there are other aspects to it, like the concrete
The
pad
concrete
that you
pad.
need
Yeah,
to get the
this is
truck in there. Right, but how many, from what you've received so far, or actually your analysis before that, how many issues were dealt with things like concrete pad as opposed to screening?
Probably about a third.
Maybe we need to look at that list again.
yeah. How
Why
is
don't we
it?
do
Some of
that?
it's-
Yeah, I mean, the concrete pad was more of an issue for the ease of picking up for the truck, right?
Yep, because we have to line
Even
up,
the ability.
yeah,
Right,
we have to be able to line up to those ears in order to actually pick it up and for it to be safe.
right. Have there
Otherwise it swings
been-
around.
Have there been any instances where you simply can't, where things have degraded under the dumpster such that you can't line it up?
Yes, but we are very accommodating.
Gotcha.
Why don't we look at the list again? Do you want, how about this? We're still waiting for, let's keep the date for the time being.
Okay.
We're still waiting for plans. Right?
Mhm.
And why don't you reevaluate what's out there now that winter is essentially over? And revise your list of dumpsters and their how well they satisfy the regulation, and then let's talk about it at the next meeting. Give us a little bit more information as to where things stand now with regards to the dumpster regulation.
Sounds fair.
Yeah. That
Just,
works.
just get more data, get more data.
Yep.
On this,
Yeah,
and that'll give you guys a time, you're gonna have a meeting
tomorrow,
to
keep working through.
keep working through, and then we can get an update on that. So I mean, I think we generally agree that going through the compactor and everything here, transfer station seems to be the most reasonable thing to do. And again, the other thing we have to look at, and we haven't heard back from town council yet on servicing commercials. Municipal solid waste.
He was, and I have not heard back from.
Yeah.
I know
I thought he did look into it and confirmed that the municipality is not responsible for commercials. Didn't he send a brief email? I'm pretty
That
sure it's
doesn't ring a
alright.
bell. I will check though.
Okay,
Yeah, let's have that decision because that we could decide that
well, here,
And
let me
that-
see
if
if I can
that's-
find it here. It's-
and decide whether we want to make that decision. And that would certainly assist on things like transfer station overtime hours. I mean,
Yes,
it's a way to deal with some of these issues that we have.
Only thing with talking about future waste, if we do go to an outside hauler,
Mhm.
most likely every single dumpster will have, not most likely, every single dumpster in town will
Yeah.
have to be changed.
Yeah,
sure.
Will that be at our cost or will that be at
No.
other
So
people's?
depending on,
No.
depending on who you go with, it'll be baked into the cost, or it'll be our cost.
Why would it be our cost?
It
For
For
shouldn't
the
be,
ones here? Or,
For, like, if
the town
the
wanted to
town folks
subsidize it.
Still want someone to come pick up trash at the locations. Like Waste Management would be baked into the cost, but Witcher, we would have to supply our own dumpsters.
It's just a
so
business
if
model.
the town votes against what we want to do. But if the town votes along the lines of what we want to do, then anyone who still wants to go with a dumpster pickup would have to figure that out on their own.
right,
So anyway, let's get that nailed down too. On the commercials.
Yep.
Is there anything else we wanted to talk to about MSW? Or are we done with our trash talk?
Think. Oh, did you ever find the original town square plan with the indications on there with? No, you couldn't find the plan or you couldn't find the indications for the trash removal?
The 4 plans that the town has in our records all focus on the buildings themselves and not the land associated with the area.
So there was nothing in the planning board talking about,
But those were all what was
Trash.
preserved digitally, would there still be a paper? I mean, because, you know, we get the whatever sets of 12 pages per application, would those?
Dave, do you recall, do we still have a box of some maps that just we weren't able to scan because of the condition? Or did all of them get
I thought all of them got done.
all of them get ripped in?
I don't remember seeing any come back, but I think Alicia would know that better than I would.
Yeah, if we have some that were just in such poor condition and weren't able to scan, there was just a few, but I'd be happy to talk to Alicia to see if.
Yeah, because with any
Okay.
application, there should be more than 4 or 5 sheets, especially something that size.
Okay,
there'll be a planning board.
but even then, if they,
That was-
I mean,
I know,
even
I
if
know.
they considered
Well.
trash.
What was that built?
It'd be in the records. And be on-
Yeah.
Town Square?
through and-
82,
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah,
we will look.
All right,
cool.
anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right, let's move on to the Boulder Path Road construction update.
We have a meeting tomorrow, with the engineers and R.M. Piper to get a better sense of schedule of when equipment will be arriving, when construction will start, so we'll have a better update after tomorrow.
Are you actually expecting a date tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
because I think last you told us it was April.
Right,
Yep,
Yep.
so we're expecting a more accurate date after.
okay, we're running out of April.
I know.
And presumably they're gonna want to stage and store and do all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we're
The land that they will be staging on is all prepped and ready. That will be where the transfer station area that we thought we were gonna have our transfer station.
Sure.
Yeah,
right up
so-
at the
Yeah, the
Tecumseh.
lagoons, yep,
So they're
so,
gonna do it off at Tecumseh.
Yeah. yeah, we'll
We're not
have,
gonna use Britain property for any of that, or? I thought that was part of the discussion.
both,
I think
both.
there's- I
In the
think
bid,
there's-
we said they can use both.
Yeah.
They'll be staging a lot of their equipment on the Britton land, cause it's closer distance than up here.
Right.
Okay.
This is a more ideal location for
Material.
materials.
Oh.
As opposed to.
Yeah, yeah.
land.
That's fine.
Closed, nobody can take
Yeah.
anything.
That's fine.
So if I may just add one,
Sure.
and only because I don't think anything is gonna change come tomorrow's meeting, but just to give you a slight update, unless there's something you know that I don't. My understanding, I think the staff's understanding is the intent of Piper with this project is to bifurcate it with only doing Boulder Path in 26 and Shuttle Mountain Road in 27.
Right. Yeah. No, that's how I always understood it, that it was gonna be 2
The
years.
reason why I'm saying that is, that was my understanding, and I think that was town's concern is Shuttle Mountain Road is a big project.
Yeah,
And I thought, and I'm not saying they can't do it, so don't take it that way, I'm not trying.
oh, you thought they'd do some of it this year?
I thought that they would start on Southern Mountain Road this year.
Oh,
Wait
okay.
for Boulder Path
Uh,
at the end,
mm,
because Boulder Path is easy peasy, it's just straight and flat. There's no utilities going in the ground besides drainage. So 27, if we have a worse winter than we had this year, they only had until August to complete that work. So they had 5 months to complete all that work.
So
John?
my understanding and in conversations with them is they're going to do Boulder Path, complete Boulder Path with a just a wear
Yeah.
coat down for pavement, not the top coat, so we'll
Mm.
do top coat all at once. But they will also be completing portion of Snows Mountain this year as well. But
okay.
that is also what tomorrow's meeting is for,
Yeah.
is to get a better understanding.
Yeah,
John
make
was
sure you
gonna-
get a good understanding so we can,
Piper was gonna look and see if there was an intersection or a point up Snows that they could start, successfully stop, recap with pavement and start again next year. The complication obviously is the water line.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was still looking into that the last time we, spoke about a week ago with him?
So it goes right up the middle of the road, the water line, right?
Well, yeah, they can't run temporary water for the winter. So they really
Yeah.
can't do a portion of Snows Mountain Road. Because they're gonna have two water lines that aren't interconnected. So they really can't do it that way, because the old system isn't gonna be interconnected to the new system. So it's. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, I can't, looking at it, from my point of view, understand how they think that that's gonna be feasible. I just wanted to point it out to the board, because that may be, the next meeting's what, May 8th? For the select board?
May
Yeah.
3rd,
May 3rd, May 6th.
May 6th, whatever. Yeah,
It's
it's-
someday in May.
yeah, it's 3 weeks, it's 3 weeks from today. We have a 3-week
It's a
hiatus.
ways out, and they may be already started by then. I would hope, so.
Well, I mean, we can have a meeting right after your meeting with them, if we want, if you needed us to make any decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can do that, schedule a special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it'll just be on Boulder Path. Presumably, this is the meeting that's gonna lay everything out, the one you're gonna have.
Right, Bill Dower will be there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we want to schedule it now?
Sure.
Next Wednesday.
Say that again. The
Our next select board meeting isn't until
the sixth.
the 6th of May, but we may want to know as early as possible what the plan is in case we
Yeah.
have some concerns about it.
Yep.
They will have that meeting with them tomorrow, so we should have something before, because they're gonna start.
Yep.
Potentially in the next couple of weeks,
Yeah.
so.
Yep,
Why don't, if you don't mind, can we wait until we have that meeting tomorrow and then I can funnel out some recommended dates, just depending on, where they're at and.
Well, it sounds like there's concern to talk about it and we're all sitting here,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it may be easy.
or you can just do that, Wendy, that's fine.
No, I think that's all we're talking about.
Yeah, just so everyone.
I'm at Dana Farber on the 16th and the 30th.
Want to look at something like next Tuesday? I mean, the meeting's on Thursday. They give you guys a chance
That's fine with
to
me.
talk about it Friday and maybe even Monday
That's
before we had a meeting
Fine with
about
me.
it.
Tuesday the 21st?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Wednesday, 22nd?
I mean, they'll all be in a meeting, so.
Well,
22nd.
no,
works.
we need you here.
no, we should have all the, yeah.
Yep. 22nd.
You are the road agent, you need to be here. The 22nd, I can do the 22nd in the afternoon.
What time?
I'll be anytime from 1 on.
It's all good for me.
1 o'clock on the 22nd?
Monday,
One.
1 o'clock on the 22nd.
Okay.
All right, now we're getting back to what, adding meetings.
Yep.
1 p.m.
Anxiety inducing, going like a whole week without a meeting.
I know.
Checking my
Can you imagine
calendar
3
last
weeks?
week.
It would be
I
3
can't.
weeks.
Amazing how much I actually got done.
Okay. So let's just tentatively put that in. If something comes up tomorrow that changes that,
Okay.
you know, Steve, you can let us know and then we'll just
Oh, yeah.
We'll just-
sure.
Yeah,
make the change to whatever works.
that's great. Okay.
Okay. Anything else on the Boulder Path? Construction
That's
update?
This one, okay,
See,
next one.
okay.
Conference Center Connect.
Conference Center Connector Trail Repairs. So this was, I think, we had asked you to have a meeting with James about this, I think.
Yeah, so James reached out
Mhm.
to us about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he said that the resort has the desire to make some upgrades to a trail in town that's partially on town land as well.
Mhm.
And I know you may be a little more familiar, Rich, with the history, so feel free to jump in if I'm missing something. But as I understand it, this trail exists behind the conference center.
Yeah, just goes down to Village Trail, used
It
to go across
actually-
the bridge.
Yeah, when we redid Village Trail back in whatever it was 15, 16, we
Mhm.
asked them if they would redo the trail at that point and they were unable. So it would be great to have that work done so it matches the quality of Village Trail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he indicated that his hope was to kind of flatten the terrain a little bit. There's a lot of roots, he said, and some obstacles on that trail that they just want to mitigate, and then possibly add some lighting, whether it's recessed lighting on the
On that
ground.
trail, they want to rebuild basically. From the
Correct.
Conference Center down to Village Trail,
Exactly.
about half of which is on town property,
About,
roughly.
yeah, about half. And I told him that the board seemed pretty enthusiastic about getting this trail back up to snuff, and our hope really was, in conjunction with the remediation efforts to fix the trail, to start talking a little bit about what kind of maintenance and use agreements we could have in place so that these trails don't fall apart again, number one, and number two, if something were to happen to the trail that's on town land, how does that get fixed? And James was very open to looking at that, getting language together, and in fact invited me and most likely Ed to a couple of coordination meetings that have not yet been scheduled, but will be soon.
Can I be a part of those meetings as well?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. So there'll be more to come on that, I'm
That
sure.
sounds positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
It does kind of dovetail into the work we had been doing though with the easements and working
Yes.
on the maintenance
Right.
agreements, because we do still have the issues with the Village Trail, like the lights being knocked off and signs broken.
yeah, I think it
and
has to be
bearing
part of a
that
package.
expense.
Did anything
Yeah.
happen this winter? Do we know?
Well, the light was never put back up to be knocked
Oh.
down again, so.
Yeah, was waiting for the supplier. I
Yeah,
talked with him, he was gonna get back to me, so
yeah.
I talked to him this week, he was gonna get back.
All right, so you're waiting on a time to meet again to discuss it further while they get some language together.
Well, they get some language together and I think kind of finalize what their actual plans are with regard to the trail and share
Yeah.
that with us too.
Cool.
Yeah,
So,
okay, yeah.
Speaking of lighting, just because it popped up in my mind, I would like to replace the 2 non-working older solar lights that are in town with the newer solar lights, and I believe we had a street light CRF, if I remember correctly,
We do.
so I don't know.
We have a streetlight CRF, do we?
Yeah, we created it last
Yeah.
year. Well, actually now 2 years ago in
Yeah,
24.
Let's get some quotes
I think we
together.
put 50,000 in it.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was,
Okay.
I
yeah,
think-
something to work with.
And then did we put any more in this year? Do you remember? I think
Not
we,
this year.
no, but I think we put 50,000 in.
That sounds right.
In 2025, actually.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if we were okay or if there were any other concerned areas, so I can get
Yeah,
an appropriate quote for.
How much are we looking at?
the pathway from the Golden Eagle to Town Square, that was lighting was meant to be part of that.
Yep, and that's to move the 2
from the
Yes,
middle of
of
the
the bridge.
bridge over.
Yeah,
I'm still working with Bob with that. I have to get, sorry, I keep moving in front of this thing. I have to get a quote for bases made, but the
Okay.
place we normally order bases from is permanently closed, so I have to find a new supplier.
okay,
So, but I'm still working on that.
okay.
So,
Just, I know, just under the lighting,
Hmm.
whatever,
Yes.
umbrella.
And where were the two solar lights you said you wanted to?
one is on the corner of Valley and Packard,
Mhm.
and the other one is the corner of Lost Pass Valley. Technically.
That,
Yeah,
Down there.
Those are their older style,
yeah.
solar lights that they
Yeah.
had, just replacing them to the.
did you get a quote yet on?
I've not gotten a quote yet
Yeah.
because I wanted to touch base with y'all. on
Yeah, I mean, that's what the
first.
funds are for, so if you wanna pull together,
So when you do 4 total, 2 for, no, because.
We're
moving those,
reusing, yeah.
We're just doing the 2. Was there any others before I get?
well, any of the others that weren't working, I think we're also looking at two designs. We put one right here to
Yep.
see what
So
would be preferred.
I assumed the lantern looking one
Yeah,
to get the quote for. And a darker hue. As well,
warmer,
warmer hue.
Yeah.
okay.
Warmer hue.
I think the idea was that, I mean, there are any number of lights, so again, if you wanna pull together a list of the non-working lights and cost to replace them.
You wanna change the color of the lighting? Or the
So, I mean,
temperature,
right now,
color
it's
temperature
orange,
of the lighting?
so this one's like a warm white, we can go one more hue warmer. Than this one out here, and that's what I was looking to do, or if you want to keep it at this warm white. that we-
I would just say that across the town, we don't want the lighting to appear random.
Yep.
So we need
Eventually
things
the
to
whole-
look relatively uniform, not necessarily
take time.
perfectly, but.
Yeah, plan is to do the entire town, replace all the street lights.
Yep,
It won't be all at once, so it will look a little inconsistent.
yep,
Over the course of a few years, but, at
Okay.
the end of it, it'll all be consistent.
No, you started on lights and then we went to the bridge lights, but the brackets on the bridge, did you see my email about those?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
the brackets holding up the winter lights tunnel, the WVRA back however many years ago it was, had paid for those, even though they were on town property, and then paid each year to have the lights strung, but the actual structures belong to the town as a gift, I suppose, from the WVRA
Yeah,
gift.
we've been trying to clean, especially with the garage doors happening. We've been
Sure.
Cleaning up quite a bit.
Yeah.
We've just been trying to find a place to store them,
Yeah,
to keep them out of the elements. So
And-
we didn't wanna take them down and they get scratched or moved.
of
and
course.
Broken in the meantime.
Yeah,
so.
and I don't know if it's something that's feasible to look at stringing them in a less costly way than having New England Holiday Lights do them, but having that bridge lit up is really nice. And I don't know, maybe it would look odd. I'm
Give
not
it
sure
some
what's gonna
fun.
happen. I'm sorry.
Fun fake vine plants for the summer.
Mm,
They'll
Yeah.
never die.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what the potential use could be for those in the future, but I'm remembering that right. Right, Brooke, yeah,
I didn't actually know, I don't know the detail about the brackets or whatever you're talking about.
yeah, because they're still hanging out, and I know New England Holiday Lights is cleared out, and they had been stored at the resort previously, but
Yep, plan is to take them down.
cool. All right,
So just getting back to the lights, yeah, again, pulled something together and I mean, we did that inventory of the lights. We didn't add any money this year to that reserve fund, capital reserve fund. So there's 50,000 there, but it is to replace
So there's
broken
only-
lights,
So the co-op did come through.
right?
Fix most of them. There are only 5 that are currently not working. The 3 that are in Boulder Path, I figured I'd wait on those anyway since Boulder Path
Right.
is being rebuilt. And then the 2 solar ones,
Okay.
that are ours.
Okay,
So-
well, let's take care of the solar ones and move the lights on the bridge. Off the bridge, I should say.
Yep.
yeah,
That work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, just give us a price and then we'll give, then we'll give. At our next meeting, or it could be on the meeting we now scheduled, the special meeting, we can throw that in there if you have
Update.
an update on the lights.
Okay.
We can do it then. Doesn't have to wait 3 weeks. Okay, anything else on that? If not, we move to financial report.
So as of 4:10, we're looking at our expenses at about 75%. So pretty much on target right there, a little favorable to target overall. And in revenues, you see we're not nearly where we need to be collected at this point during the year because we are waiting on our water and sewer revenue to come in, as well as our first property tax bill will be mailed in early May. So we'll start seeing those revenues come in June. However, it's really nice to see those percentage collected in Brooke's department in rec. We're well ahead, so kudos there, Brooke. Revenues are looking strong. Any questions?
I had a minor thing,
Yeah.
March 31st expenses report had shown, $989 for the library, or 550.
Okay.
And I know, of course, that whole line was struck when we had to redo the budget, and I didn't see it on here, so I'm wondering, was that reallocated? I just was wondering what happened to that. It looks like during March. there-
4550.
Yeah,
So I believe if that line, I can't remember. I'm sorry, I can
no,
look.
no,
real
I.
quick. If it was entirely struck, it looks to me like this report is based on only accounts that we have funding approved for 2026. So maybe those lines were just omitted from the report that no longer have any.
Right, but the money was spent.
Well, the money should be there, right? Is that what you're saying? There was not in the March report, there was 900 and,
Yeah, that had been spent.
Already.
Yes,
4550.
So in other
Yeah.
words, we've already
spent
spent
it, and we just want to make sure we're
close
accounting
to
for
a
it.
1,000.
Yeah.
And we zeroed it.
I'll look at
What
it.
It's-
happens to the
it-
1,000?
The line disappeared, but the money was still spent, so it's
Right.
just one of those.
Maybe there was another component. If the line get zeroed entirely, then I'll look at it.
Yeah,
I'll talk to
I
you.
assumed it got shifted to another another whatever line.
That
but-
could be too.
anything else on the
That
financial?
applies to all of the lines that got shifted down to zero, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't see any spent for the others.
You
in
know,
the
or
previous
reduced
month.
in general. We gotta make sure we don't.
No, of course.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and more.
Yep.
We've been authorized.
Done with financial report? Move on to calendar review, so we laid on a special meeting at 1 PM on the 22nd. Talk about Boulder Path. Our current next regular select board meeting is May 6th at 3 PM.
And I will still not pay for that.
Right, that's the one you're not gonna be at, right? And next planning board meeting is on the 14th here at
Yeah, I'm
8:30
going to
AM.
be in Poland. For that meeting,
So
Rich.
I guess I'll be doing that meeting.
That was scheduled
Yep, not a
long
problem.
ago, sorry, before I was.
Go to one
exhibition.
planning board meeting, and next thing you know, you're up to post.
Yelling out.
No, not bailing out, actually working hard.
Okay,
Um,
all right. Anything else for calendar anyone can think of at this point? All right. So we have some correspondence. Financial Advisory Committee inquiries. There's one person, and this is my fault, Steve. Gail Kaplan had sent,
That's right.
but she didn't, I don't think she included you, and I think I failed to
You mentioned her.
forward, or even I
Yeah.
mentioned it forward her, so we should add
Yep.
Gail Kaplan to that list.
Anyone else that I'm missing?
I actually had a question. I know one of the people who requested inclusion is not a full-time resident. Are we having a residency requirement for this? I
We
know-
haven't established
Yeah,
anything. We
okay.
could,
Yeah,
we
I
could
wasn't
establish
sure.
it.
It just,
Right.
I hadn't thought about it
Right.
until I saw the name and
Right.
thought a bit more carefully about it.
Yeah, well, I think that's something we need to. It's been my intent to collect the names and then sit and talk to Ed about how we wanted this committee to to operate. It was in the packet.
Yeah, no, I have that in the packet, I just don't have it up.
And so, and discuss with, just discuss with Ed how he wanted this to run.
Okay.
You know, how many people he was looking for and what mix of people that he wanted, so. I've told people who've asked, some of whom have put their name in writing to us, that we're probably looking at, you know, late May before this is really something
Yeah.
that Ed
Defines.
defines.
Okay.
Right, and they get something starting in the summer.
Yep.
Get something up and rolling based on how Ed wants to work with it. As I pointed out to people, RSA 37 gives the town budget, gives the town manager the statutory authority for the town budget.
Yep.
And then he presents it as it stands now to the select board. So this really should be his committee. His
Yes.
advisory committee. Okay,
I am expecting that you will discuss the potential candidates on this committee with him because.
oh yeah,
of his
absolutely,
Of course.
yeah, oh,
Lack of
absolutely,
being here.
right, no, absolutely,
It just,
Yeah,
it would be
that's why I'm
blind,
waiting, yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You can't just blindly pull the name.
No, that was the point, and so I wanted to see what type of person he wanted in terms of background, mix, and then talk about the people that are on the list,
Yeah,
and then come to some agreement as to how many people he wanted, but how big does he want this to be is the other
Right.
question. Part of this, I always had in mind three,
that's
Three.
my mind.
plus the select board member and Ed/Steve.
But given the amount of interest, maybe 4,
It could be,
see what Ed
yeah,
says.
at some point, you know, dropping that. So that's what I wanted to
Sometimes
talk
we
that
get
about.
too many cooks stirring the soup. We have
Yeah.
to be careful of that.
Yeah, but there is a lot of siloing in town and we want to make sure to have.
We're trying to, well, that was my
representative.
concern, is try to get it as wide as possible
Yeah,
in every respect. Okay. So just add Gail's name, Gail Kaplan's
the
name
list.
to that,
Yeah.
right? And just keep it open. All right, fireworks.
So I shared with you in your packet a letter, an email that I received from Katie Smith on behalf of the Waterville Valley Foundation, where they are expressing the interest to start a fundraiser to
Mhm.
fund the 2026 firework display here in town. She inquired, had a couple of questions, which I answered. That you'll see my response included in the packet as well. And I did hear from her today, and she's all looks good, confirmed everything that I had come back to her. So
What happens if they don't raise funds?
Well, we've given them until, I think we need to say, the select board would like to know by its meeting on the 20th of May. If
Right.
they have the funds or if they're very close to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And
And-
then we would,
oh,
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
And
No,
we
no.
do have the 3,000 from the WVRA previous
Right.
contribution to help cover the 10%. fee.
Sure.
if we don't get the 20.
Mhm.
There are still a couple questions here that I still want to make sure we've crossed our Ts and dotted our Is legally
Yes,
for this method, so I think we're still waiting for
I did send an inquiry in
To-
early this week.
to find out, okay, if this is okay. And the second aspect of it is there will be a town expense. How are we gonna deal with that town expense?
Right.
It has to do with, I guess it would be a special detail to assist with the with the
With the event.
with the event.
Yeah.
If it's held at the usual place it's held, it may be less so an issue if it's held someplace else. And that's something else we need to discuss.
Yeah.
As well.
So Dave and I, and Dave, feel free to chime in if something's changed since we last spoke, but we kind of mapped out a couple of scenarios. The scenario one is where we've had it historically on the bridge, on the Valley Road Bridge. That would and has required at least three personnel on detail, 2 for road closures and 1 personnel for just safety, firework safety, to have a fireman available for the day. Shortly after our final budget meeting where we approved the 2026 budget, we were inundated by some calls. We talked to Mike Capel, we talked to Cindy Picos concerning the program. During which those discussions, we were told that Craig, I wish he was here, but Craig expressed some interest in having the display on the golf course.
Really?
And
He said that he can't run the same fireworks. He has to do a different class of fireworks.
Right, it would
Yeah.
really
When he-
damage the greens, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't
Or the
know about
location of the
that.
houses nearby.
Oh.
He's done it
That's gonna
before.
be- He
He's
did
done
it before.
He can, it depends where he
Sets
chooses
up.
to do them. It still needs if you keep the fireworks, a class B shows a 300-foot radius. He has it there.
Yeah.
If he wants it, but I don't know if the place that allows 300 feet is where he would want to shoot
Right.
them.
And that's what we're paying for, is it the Class
B show.
B show?
Yeah.
So we
so,
would still need a detail on, right, for safety and,
well, I was getting to that.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So Valley Road, as I understand it, gets closed in two different locations.
Yeah.
One at the intersection of,
Packard and the other one at Valley.
thank you,
Village.
Village,
Village.
yep,
Waterville Place. We'll close it.
or Waterville Place,
Waterville
a
Place.
little
yeah.
further up.
Yep, one at Golden Heights and then one at Valley Village.
And Dave thought, we were just spitballing here, but he thought that if we were to have it on at the golf course, there could be a potential detail at the corner of Boulder Path and Valley. Either shut that road down during the display or keep one lane open during the display. And pedestrians and viewers could watch the display from the 8th fairway and all along Boulder Path Road.
Here's what they did when he had his show, I think. He actually had people on his greens in the clubhouse and stuff like that too.
Yeah, we would establish a perimeter and then anybody could get, as long as they were outside.
Outside the perimeter, right, so.
So that option would effectively reduce the total amount of personnel we need to detail by one.
Mhm.
Because you would have one closing the road and another firefighter with the display. But the length of the detail would also significantly be reduced because the full Valley Road wouldn't nearly be able to, it wouldn't have to be closed for the entirety of the setup.
Hmm.
Because all of the setup would take place on the golf course's property. So the road detail would only have to be for the time of the display, maybe a little before.
What's the difference in the cost between the two?
It would be the difference between 3 people at roughly 12 hours each. We could get it down to 2 people to 4 hours, probably.
Yeah. Any idea what that comes out to roughly? So like difference between 1,500 and 3,000 or 1,200 and 3,000, something like that. And in the golf course case, we don't have to worry about cleanup.
That was the other piece.
But I think you said you could take cleanup, it will come out of overtime potentially.
Cleanup would be overtime.
Yeah,
It's
so
always
we're,
been overtime.
so we're always struggling. Are we already struggling with overtime?
We are exceeded in one and a little over 50%. in
Yeah,
another.
so, okay, so we have to include it, I think, in the traditional, let me call it traditional.
Yeah.
We'd have to add that. I'm sorry, chief.
About $680 versus $3,000.
That would be significant savings.
And the 3,000 is just your side of it, then DPW would have to add,
Yeah, that's just our side.
I think you said 800, if I recall,
Yeah.
600 to 800 on DPW.
all right,
So having the show isn't contingent upon them also funding the town
No,
for that aspects of it.
well.
we hadn't asked.
Well, I mean, we
Yeah.
discussed that actually.
Yeah, but
during our
how do
last
we
meeting.
do that? Because, I could think of a way, but, if they were to say, collect that money and give it to us, it would come out of special detail until at the end of the year, we can play around with the monies, but we may run out of special detail money in our budget, because it's not a revolving, we've had this discussion, I don't wanna,
Yeah.
rehash the
Yep.
whole thing, so even if they collected the money, it could be an issue. and gave that part to the town. What about the 3,000 that
Mhm.
the business association gave this? Can't that be a gift to the town that we can assign to an expense? Like when we get a gift from somebody, don't we select, we can either put it in fund balance or assign it to an expense? Haven't we done that in the past?
We have, but that's not a proper way of accounting.
It's not, okay.
No.
So
So,
it has to go into fund balance?
no, it goes into your revenues in usually a miscellaneous revenue line.
Yeah.
Until we decide what we want to do with it later.
Well, no, it just stays in miscellaneous revenue and.
No, I mean, but how we decide to handle the bottom line number, I guess it's incorporated into the bottom line number
Right,
at the end of the year.
Yeah.
What's the proper way, Steve, to handle this?
Well,
Just to make
That's
sure,
the
we want to
problem.
make sure that we're.
the proper
legal.
way in the outward years is what Rich just alluded to, is
Yeah.
to establish some type of a revolving fund that handles
Right.
these kind of events.
yeah,
This year, anything we pay out to our employees for details is gonna hit our operating budget. And it can't be corrected at any point during the year. Those funds will be expensed through wages in our operating budget.
Right, and until
Okay.
we,
Next year,
next year,
establish some revolving funds that we
Right.
can have a program running through.
yeah.
This is kind of where we're at right now, unfortunately.
Okay.
so whether it's 680 or 3680,
Our wages will be affected in the expense line. And that's the same with the $3,000 that was generously donated to us as well. It's great that we have it in our revenues. However, that will affect our contingency line.
Yep.
Because we'll have to cut a check for that. That's what it'll come from.
it'll come out of contingency because you're
Contingency.
sitting.
Yep.
You can't touch revenues until the end. It's crazy.
At all, because it's not
Yeah.
it's not a proper profit and loss
Right.
accounting. It's,
So we still have that issue.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have to take it out of contingency. We'll have to take it out of special details.
What I'm attempting to do with Katie, just so you're aware, is that we want to be very conscientious with any of these, $100 here, $200
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
So Katie I asked her to keep a separate spreadsheet that is more, I think, integral than how we've done our accounting in the past with respect to contingency. Because as you all know, when one of our expense lines becomes elevated, it's actually contingency that could be affected if the bottom line is
Yeah.
affected.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So rather than just looking at an account and saying, well, we're over $800 in this line, but I know we have 50,000 unspent in contingency, so we're okay. I want to visualize that, and I want to
Yeah.
keep the board apprised of
Right.
Yeah.
where we're standing periodically.
But that's how we used to shift money within the budget, right? We'd take it, if we were over on a line, we could dip into contingency in any given year.
Well, it's not
So-
that we're dipping in, it's that we're knowing that the bottom line will be okay because our contingency
well-
line is still flush,
Right,
right?
right. Well,
So-
we wouldn't dip into it unless we knew that.
Correct,
Right.
absolutely.
But we usually knew
We
that.
wouldn't overexpend an account knowing that our contingency line was fully expended. 'Cause
Right.
that's-
Right. No,
Yeah,
well, that's why I think we
There's-
were pushing for, keep that contingency line up.
yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
One other issue with this whole fireworks thing, and it was mentioned in the email or letter. And that is, the concept of putting fireworks back into the budget next year. And this same concept applies to all the other areas that we've zeroed out this year.
Mhm.
And that's something we're gonna have to decide and think about.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily a fan of adding all of these things back into the budget after getting, if you will, severely chastised for having an inflated budget, if you will, as they did this year.
Well, I think that's where having the
So-
advisory committee will be helpful. And we can work through that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
probably won't approve a budget with them in there.
I also think that And I have to work with Ed on this to see what his thoughts, because he does have experience working in revolving funds, so,
Mm.
which is great. But I think that you can be pretty vague with how you, with what you call those revolving funds. So one potential option could be community events.
Sure.
And maybe we say we want a warrant article to fund the community events revolving fund with $25,000 to support the following,
Mm.
right? The following
Right, and the select board
activities.
picks what's on that list and then how to deal with it
Yeah,
within the list.
that may be an option
So,
for us.
yeah, I think that's a discussion we're gonna just have to wait for some time before we can get a handle on.
Yeah.
Dan, I honestly don't think it'll be an issue of whether we want to. I really wonder whether we can add these
Well,
back
right.
in.
Right,
Yeah,
Oh, right.
because the personnel expenses aren't going away. I mean, that was a one-time fix.
Yeah,
They're gone.
no, absolutely.
And
That-
other costs continue to go up, and it won't be there
Debt
to cut.
service is going up and everything else.
This is
But
going
the-
up,
the-
yeah.
The component, again, and I know you're all aware, but just to remind everyone, the nice component about the revolving funds is maybe we could
It's-
create it for $1, but
Right.
it will accept
Right, it's off the
revenue.
budget,
Right.
right.
It will accept revenue that we're able to expend.
Then
on it.
use,
Yeah.
then
Yes.
use,
Yeah.
for whatever. But I mean, I think we still would like to have an understanding from the town what those what the agreement was with the town, what those revolving funds are supposed to be used for.
Yep.
There are people in town who think even a contingency fund is a slush fund,
Right,
and they mean it in a negative sense. And it is not a slush fund by any stretch of the imagination. So you can imagine if we create a number of revolving funds, vague revolving funds. Yeah, that may be an issue. We'll have to be careful there.
we
So-
will need specificity.
Just to get back to the issue we have, so we're still waiting for, just to get a legal opinion that this approach works for the town legally. So that's still hanging out there. And there's gonna be no way around, our cost,
The details.
for the details, other than taking it out of the special detail line.
Yep.
And,
Looking at an alternate location to,
well, potentially lessening that amount if a private landowner is willing to let his property be used for it. I think that has to be communicated to the foundation, or I'm not sure what the relationship Katie has with the foundation. She's writing these
She's
things.
the vice chair.
She's the vice chair of the
That was
foundation.
what was indicated in the email.
Okay, so they've obviously talked about it then.
Yeah.
Some length, but
and I have spoken with Katie about the location, differences in terms
Yeah.
of details.
Okay.
So she's aware.
so I mean, it sounds to me that,
So do they have Craig in the loop?
I don't know.
Okay.
That was through Mike,
Yeah.
and he
No.
indicated that,
I think the question though in front of us is, are we willing to take a 3,000 chunk out of that, and then we've got an overtime line we're gonna further deplete?
call it.
Or whether we're just gonna say, we can't go forward with it on the traditional place, it's gonna have to be
Mm.
Elsewhere,
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Where our detail costs will be reduced to under $1,000.
Is the overtime because we're cleaning up that night? Or is the
next couple
overtime,
days.
what if we wait until the next day
to Saturday.
I don't think.
or
we're allowed
Monday?
To do that.
Not on the road. You can't open the road until it's all cleaned up.
Yeah, go ahead, Brooke.
Can
Okay,
the $3,000 that was donated from the WVRA be maintained by the town to cover the overtime?
It's still.
That's what I was asking.
expended.
that's what makes it,
There's still that.
that's what. we-
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing we're talking about,
Revenue.
or put it towards
Yes.
special details is our contribution.
Yeah, because there's still the
It's the same
expenditure.
problem.
It
Yeah,
just,
it's-
it's a
it-
crazy
yeah.
system.
It is, I
It
get
is.
it, but that seemed like that could work.
Yeah, it
I
really,
know.
it really
was
ties
so-
our
'cause
hands.
The numbers were nice, but.
All right, so the decision is you're gonna, I guess, go back to Katie and say that it's the traditional location will not work for the town, even if they raise the money. Is that the decision we're coming to? Otherwise, we're gonna take a $3,000 hit in special details, and we're gonna take 700 or whatever, $700 hit in
The
overtime.
only,
I think there'll be some pushback because, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I believe the discussion when we were talking about the budget revisions was looking at the special details and acknowledging that we needed to try to preserve whatever special details were in town, because that would serving the
Yep.
townspeople.
Yeah,
And this is certainly a special detail
right.
that's in town and serving the townspeople. So
and
I
it's one
don't,
that would have normally been covered.
yes. And, you know, we didn't zero out the special detail line. We kept it, you know, it was reduced, but it's still there. So I guess it's a matter of how negatively would this particular usage be?
Impact a special detail line.
It was worked into that number when it
That's what I
was-
thought.
The budget. was
All right, so then we're
created.
fine with that then.
So
So I think,
it was in there, you know, we
Good.
did take a $6,000 hit. But as far as where we were, you know, we don't get any revenue out of that because we're paying it ourselves.
yeah,
So that's just the difference. That we have.
All right,
Okay,
There's no revenues associated with.
okay,
those.
Yeah.
and then we'll just have to eat the overtime. Basically,
If that's the case.
but I mean, if Craig feels strongly that he really wants it on his land and sees it as a potential something for the future, I have no idea, but. I don't mean to close the door on that, I'm just,
yeah, I don't think he had a class B last time. I think it was smaller,
hmm,
as I recall.
Yeah, all the other shows in town have all been class Cs.
They haven't?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
class Cs?
Oh, C.
yeah.
But the radius that you drew from a couple of locations at the golf course would accommodate a B, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it
so
could happen.
anytime that we change the location, Power Technica will send a rep up
Oh, good,
and survey the site to make sure it meets the distances.
All right,
good,
now,
Because they will have to amend their permit with the state to. show
oh,
that.
sure,
so Steve, are we gonna have any trouble if the foundation is paying the fireworks folks directly?
That's preferred right now under, that's the preferred method of the fireworks. company.
Okay,
but that's why I want to get the legal opinion. That's what we're waiting.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
insurance, yeah,
yeah, well, that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
well, that's why Richard asked,
Yeah.
I'll
yeah,
let you know if any problems come up with that.
Okay,
All right. Well, I think we've finished talking about it, right?
I
We
think
need to know
so.
by the 20th.
yep,
There is 3,000 from the town available.
from the WBRA,
But from the Business Association, WVBA.
Yeah.
But that is. Could be used to help us pay the penalty. If we don't get the 20, so it's there, but it. It can't be counted if they're sitting at 12,000 on the
Right.
20th.
right,
right,
And thinking that they only need to get 5,000 more. In the next 2 weeks, that's tough.
unless there's a feasible plan.
Unless
for
there's a
that
plan that shows
5,000,
that
yeah.
that's gonna happen, yeah. All right. Anything else we need to talk about?
No other correspondence.
Good. Board concerns and directives. Anybody have anything they want
Well-
to talk about?
I attended my first planning board meeting as a ex officio member. And we discussed a lot of different things. I think, most importantly, the fact that the CIP will need to include the wastewater treatment plant project, if we're going to move forward with impact fees. We're also going to need to implement an impact fee ordinance. And so that's something I've been looking at, like notional language for. There are examples, most towns that I've seen seem to have these. I'm not sure why we don't.
Hmm,
And I think they're pretty general, and you put an impact fee ordinance in to cover not just wastewater treatment,
Sure, any development.
any sort of
Mhm.
development or
Yep.
any impact. It could be roads impact and traffic and different things like that.
Yep.
So that's something our town should do anyway. irrespective of any vision of the wastewater treatment plant expansion, so.
Didn't we ask Jim to take a look at impact fees as part of an and to tell us that in sewer district and sewer rents and impact fees, that was geared towards the new wastewater treatment facility, but we can expand and actually, did we talk to specific impact fee
Yes.
ordinance
Yes,
as a separate beast?
he's
as it were.
worked with the city of Rochester and the town of
So he
Somersworth.
can pull something together for us on that.
Correct, yep,
And
he is
a price on that was,
roughly 4,000.
so,
Yeah.
and we've given the go ahead
He's
to,
working.
to do that, to
Yeah.
look at all of that. I think we had talked to you, Dylan, about the sewer regulations and the changes we may need to make there for sewer
Sewer
district.
district was $35 to $4,500. And it was split time between himself and
Okay,
paralegal.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about sewer rents? Do we talk, does
Well, I
he,
think that goes hand in hand. I
with
think-
sewer district?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think it's to look
together.
at all the alternatives.
Okay, good. So that's in process. And we're still waiting to hear back from.
So wait, that's
Remember that.
3,500 to 4,000, but then we also have the impact fees? Was that included in it?
That's light, Wendy. I
Okay.
didn't even ask for a quote on that. He already has some templates available.
Okay,
He's not concerned. I'm not
Okay.
concerned.
good.
The other topic that was, well, there were several topics discussed, but one that I thought was important had to do with compliance issues. And so or conditions. And so the planning board, when they approve something, may have a set of conditions. They're now working with Dave to have a way of tracking that and the completion of those, conditions and so forth. But compliance is, if you will, a select board function more so than
Yeah,
a
code
planning
enforcement.
board
Yeah.
function.
Yeah.
It's code enforcement. And one of the things is that if there's non-compliance of a particular condition or whatever, or the agreement for how to comply is modified by code enforcement, then we need to convey that information back to the planning board
Right.
as part of their efforts to track all of this. And so right now that isn't really getting addressed. And it came up in a simple way. Where, and I think, there was a comment in there and it was, well, Megan said they could move the snow here as opposed to some other
Right,
thing.
right.
So the condition or the implementation of that condition was modified,
Right.
if you will. And so then I asked the question is, okay, under what authority do we have to modify those conditions that the planning board has implemented,
Mm.
if you will?
Yep.
And this came up as a question
Sure.
in my mind. And as a minimum, we need to communicate back to the planning board that, hey, we changed this, it made more sense to push the snow here versus there, or whatever.
Mhm.
Whatever kind of changes it was. That's just a simple one I was remembering from that day we were talking about.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not picking on you. So that's something we need to do. The other thing is that, it came up and they have a small legal issue where they wanted to speak with legal, and they said that they need to get select board approval for that.
Not so much approval, but they don't have a separate budget, so they need
Right.
to go to the town manager.
Right, does that go through?
It should.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
yeah,
should just
so then
talk-
that'll
the
go
chair
through
should just
you.
talk to,
So
right?
if you could
The
talk
chair should
with
just
Bill
talk to the town
Yeah.
manager.
and make sure that I just
Right.
wanted to pass it along, I took a note.
And then if it's anything extensive, I'd obviously bring it to the select.
Sure.
board.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So does that all make sense?
It does. I think just one thing occurred to me as I was listening to that meeting. I think Liz Emerson, the contract planner, noted very well, the planning board has to be very careful. They're not code enforcement.
Right.
And
Yes.
they seem to think sometimes at that meeting that they were in the code enforcement business.
Yep.
If there's a problem with the condition not being met that they've uncovered, then they need to bring it to the select board, either through Dave as our representative, as our delegated
Yep.
code enforcement officer, and then he can decide whether it needs to be brought to the select board issue, select board for resolution. So they just need to be a little
Yeah, I don't
careful.
disagree with that.
So, and they are one among many who can bring an issue to the select board on code enforcement.
Yep.
Yeah, the chair can come directly to the select board and complain
Sure.
about something, whether it's a code enforcement issue or anything else.
Yeah.
So that's their path.
But yes, but it is important to get that communication back to the planning board if something has been changed. They
To
need
let them know
reevaluate
and the
that.
reason
Yeah.
why.
Right.
Yeah, and that sort of thing was based on a condition that was laid on by the select board via town staff, that we wanted the snow moved a certain way in that particular situation. It wasn't the planning boards. It's like utilities, you know.
Right.
If we're gonna make changes, those conditions are in there because the town requested them to be in there, right? Not the planning board, but town staff, which is the select board in this case. Yes, Dave, I'm sorry.
I worked with the planning board to kind of tighten it up a little bit as far as the end of the process
Right,
for reporting that those conditions have been made. The only issue I had that they brought up was constant updates. Typically, when these projects happen, if there's any conditions that preclude a building permit, I will work through those. During the process, nothing happens. You know, as the construction project and, you know, goes through, typically, most of the conditions come at the end of the project. So there was some talk during the meeting, you know, that they would like, bi-weekly updates as to the conditions. I would just
Yeah.
suggest
Yeah.
against that.
Yeah.
I would be happy to share with them if there were any changes or any potential conflicts.
Sure.
I could bring those up, but
That's what I was referring to as mostly change. I didn't hear the piece about bi-weekly updates.
somebody.
That-
Yeah, they
kind of
want
had-
to-
like,
That's
there was
crazy.
A little bit of agreement and I kind
Yeah.
of cringed a little bit going, you know, the way
Yeah.
these things typically work is once the planning board
Yeah.
approves it, it all comes to me.
Right.
Right.
And then I've gotta figure out anything that they say and whatever
Right.
conditions get put in there. Most of the conditions, like I said, are either before or after.
Sure.
Checking their work at the very end and going through the checklist, going, yep, they've done all this stuff. And then I think the process that we have now is better for us to be able to say, hey, planning board, we're wrapping up this permit. All your conditions have been met, or we ran into this issue.
right.
Whatever.
I think they plan every meeting now to have an agenda item, the status of whatever conditions are outstanding for the various projects they approve. That's the appropriate
Yeah.
time and sequence for you to, I think,
Yeah,
report to them.
With large project, like I said, you're not.
Maybe
gonna have
nothing
a
to
lot of
report,
stuff
yeah.
In the middle.
Yeah, it could be an
during
NTR that
during
month.
Construction,
Right.
that sort of thing. Most of that stuff starts to come to fruition right at the end of the project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Most
think
typically.
their issue is that they haven't been tracking things until recently. And, oh yeah, wasn't there a condition though? And they're left with that.
And
So
I
then
think-
they don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's just a communication. We always follow through with the conditions. We make sure that they're met as a
Right,
process of issuing a certificate of occupancy. We make sure of that, where I think it's felt, where they've probably felt it is, we've never reported back to them that this
Right.
permit has been closed and all the conditions have been met.
yeah, I think they also were concerned about any changes that may have been met, made that you felt was still within the condition, that maybe they weren't aware and about that change.
Yep.
So when, again, every month, you can just give them the update as part of the planning board meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, either you're there or Jim's there, or it can even be, written.
Yep.
Nothing to report,
Sure.
NTR. Do you have anything else?
No,
Uh,
I thought that was enough.
Had one little thing to toss out. I know when I first joined this board, we tried having one meeting later in the day. One of our
Yeah,
two meetings
yeah,
and
I
one
think we
meeting
moved
at
to, like,
3 o'clock.
5 o'clock,
And-
I think we tried.
Yes, and I wasn't sure if it was worth revisiting that, given the comments we've been hearing
Yeah,
about
I
the
think it is.
difficulty to, be connected to what's happening here. So I'm opening it back up. I know we tried it for like a year and no one came, for the record, but
Right,
think
and we
perhaps it's time
changed
to
the
try again.
department head
Exactly.
participation. So Ed sat in my agenda meeting with Steve to see how all that process works.
Sure.
And one of the things I mentioned to him is that we need to find a better way of doing this. And I did specifically mention that we had tried later to capture some people who were complaining that
Yeah.
the times weren't good and no one showed up. So we went back to our other time, 3 o'clock time, because it was more convenient for us and town staff. But I basically told them I would like, once you come on board, I'd like to see you to review all of this,
Okay.
the whole select board meeting, how we do it, who attends,
When we do it.
when we do it. Doesn't have to be Wednesdays at 3 o'clock, just to observe it for a while and then come in with another way of, a better way of doing it, whether it's just time or participation or what have you.
Although the select board meetings are really up to us when we hold them.
Yeah.
We are the select board.
They are, but again, a lot of the issues that come up, it's really the town manager reporting to the select board. So, it's a collaborative effort.
Sure, oh yeah,
Right,
I'm
so-
amenable to change.
so I
It's
think
just if we
what-
realize that
Yeah, because we
we
can't talk
decide this
otherwise.
isn't gonna work for us.
No, I don't think he would,
You know,
no,
I don't
I-
wanna
I
be
think
here
we
at
told
8
him
o'clock
that.
at night.
I think that wouldn't happen, but
Every week.
it's our only opportunity to talk to each other too about town business.
Right.
Because, so I mentioned that as well as an important consideration. So he's gonna be looking at that. I
Okay, good.
specifically mentioned a later time as
So
being
we'll
an issue.
revisit again later May or June.
When he gets a chance, yeah, one of the many things
Yes.
on his
the list.
long list
Yeah.
of things
Yeah.
to review, which is what
Okay.
we want him to do across the whole
Yep.
town processes and
He'll have
procedures.
Gray hair by the time he gets here.
He already does.
Yeah, but
Hopefully it doesn't turn a different.
he gave me every indication that he's looking forward to digging into these things and coming up with better ways of doing what we're doing. Anything else, Wendy? You've got everything down with MSW?
Yeah.
Anything going on with the business association? I haven't heard from them in a while.
Kind of, well.
Yeah, I mean, nothing,
Nothing to report right now.
yeah,
We were meeting Friday.
yeah. What is it you guys do now?
We have the Waterville Insider.
The Insider, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's still, you guys still kept that.
Expanded, I'm sure
Right.
you said it lately, Rich, it's a little bit different than it used to be.
I don't think I have actually.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at it.
Expanded.
Yeah, I should, yeah.
Yeah.
No, for some reason I haven't.
And, yeah. We'll
Good,
we'll report, like, we have something to report.
okay, fair enough. Good.
Yep.
We are no longer the lodging association, the ski resort, the town is no longer a part of that, correct? That's just a
We're not
lodging.
allowed to, we're not invited to be a part of that.
We weren't invited,
We're a
okay.
Venue.
We're a venue, but that's we're no longer a subject and object, we're just an object.
Yes, and I haven't seen any sort of invitation to any of their meetings or anything like that, so I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, that's why the first time I heard about this idea that they were planning to hold summer events. I had wondered if you had heard anything
Yeah,
about
only,
it
only what was shared.
at that bi-weekly
Yes.
with Tim? Right,
So,
okay, it would. Okay. Anything else? Concerns?
No.
Anybody? All right, let us move on to non-public. If someone would be willing to make the motion and second it, we can do that. And this is for, I think, legal matters.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public session for a legal matter.
I will second that.
All in favor?
I
Aye. So at 5:50, you'll be
Thank you.
taking notes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Much appreciated.